Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
And a high fly ball to deep left center field. It's gone! A grand slam for George Springer.
2 for Dingler. Falling hung on. Dillon slams it. Left field and gone! 1 too many. It's 7-4.
Swing, high fly ball, right center. That one's going a long way. We are tied.
Chip, this Cardinal offense right now is on fire.
And Noda drives one to right. McCarthy's at the wall, and he's got it. Jake McCarthy takes a home run away. Welcome back, Jake. Now that's how you announce your presence with authority.
Good morning. Welcome in Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're presented by Centrist Federal Credit Union. What's up, DB?
How are we doing?
We're doing all right. How are you?
Just all right.
Oh, I was distracted by George Springer in the open.
What, just leaving the building on folks?
It made me start thinking about, I don't know, what was it? 2019 Astros, and how there's like a stretch in there where George Springer just terrified me every time he was at the plate.
Yeah, Dodgers saw them low a few times
You know
during that
what I mean? Like
18, 19, 17-ish.
And he's kind of a rando.
Yeah. Well,
Like, he's a good ball player.
he is.
But
He
for
is.
the amount of fear that
I
he
remember when
instilled-
he went to Toronto, I thought he was going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
But that's like a lot of guys in Toronto's lineup that just kind of never really
Supposed to be good.
came to fruition.
That ball seemed like it went a lot farther than 421.
Oh, well, how would you know? Everything seems far to you when you're that low to the ground.
Ooh.
What?
Ooh.
No, I mean, I'm just saying.
No, it was just Shane's reaction that killed me.
Did you follow any Cal Raleigh?
Yeah, we're watching Cal Raleigh a little bit.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on him.
Are you still internally, a little bit externally insinuating slander, or how are we feeling?
I'm not slander. I'm just curious. I have some questions.
Yeah.
And listen, to be clear, I don't really care. It's just this would be a extreme outlier season if there's not an external force acting upon him.
I mean, you're experiencing Cal Raleigh going to the All-Star game, participating in the home run derby, right? Because I know you love the home run derby.
I used to love the home run derby.
Did you?
I really did.
About what time did you stop loving the home run derby?
About when they took the steroids out of base? No. I'm just saying, mid to late 90s home run derbies were elite.
Yeah.
They were incredible. The peak home run derby for me was probably Fenway. You got the Mark McGuire. I believe Griffey was in that one. Like you had some dudes in that one, and they're just clearing the monster. It was 99 Fenway was a great home run derby.
Are you okay with the historical significance of like the values in baseball have changed slightly? Are you ready to adjust that? Because other sports seem to not be near as progressive in terms of the pantheon of sports. Baseball is the one sport, man, where kind of the numbers are the numbers. I just don't think we've adjusted to what's good and what isn't yet.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, historically, it is
because we get into these conversations about hoops, and people bring up advanced stats, and then they compare eras. Like you almost never hear that with baseball.
No, not unless you're talking to somebody who's like really deep.
What do we say in football about passing? Well, back then.
We
don't really do that with baseball.
50% pass. I mean, I try to some when I'm trying to I think Pedro Martinez had the greatest 5-year stretch in the history of baseball.
Of course you do.
Yeah,
you've lamented about that several times.
And
Back in the day.
So I'll go, okay, hey, era adjusted ERA and what he looked like against the rest of the league, and compare things that way to show, hey, doing what he did in late 90s, early 2000s is more impressive or just as impressive as anything anyone's ever done.
Yeah.
So if you're getting really deep into it, you kind of get that.
What's 9 runs and 14 hits in 2025?
Pretty good. It's a
Is
lot.
That has to be like 18 runs and 27 hits in
2001.
Yeah,
probably.
I just do that because that was the Dodgers stat line last night. I mean, not that I remembered. I'm just I ain't 0 errors. Rockies had a couple, kicked it around. Dodgers are interested in spotting teams' leads and then just hitting the baseball.
Well, I mean, that's better than the alternative, not hitting the baseball after you spot a team in the lead.
Yeah. I mean, you make a relatively good point there, Ravi.
That's what the Red Sox like to do.
Goofball. Red Sox are going to be okay, man. I know you're down on them a little bit.
Depends on what you mean by okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's
like, are they going to be about 500 all year? Yeah, probably.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I would put a bet. I'd put a bet out there that the Red Sox would finish within 10 is too many.
10 games under 500?
No, I'm going to say within 7 games of 500.
4, 6, 8.
Kind of like
So like either 80
like 77 and 85 kind of guy?
Or the other way. Within
85 and 7.
Yeah.
85 and 77 would be a good year.
It's not though.
It is.
For who?
Again, there's 3 divisions in baseball that have teams with 40 wins or more.
Yep.
The AL East is one of them.
Okay.
There's good teams in there.
I get that.
AL East, NL West, and inexplicably the NL Central. And the Reds won again last night. I think they got the 41 or 42.
We love
And
NL
how
Central.
they have Colin Knippel going ahead of Ace Bailey is a head scratcher. And best wishes with Fears too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not. The Fears one is, listen, Knippel too, to a certain degree, but the Fears is the one that I'm like, what are we doing here? At 5?
I mean, I've heard a lot of.
At 5?
I've heard a lot of basketball slander over the last handful of days, enough to last me a lifetime. Were you surprised at my 0 to 60 yesterday?
No, I was surprised that you trolled me as long as you did.
Yeah, you were so naughty though. It's like,
what did I do?
You're just a bad guy. It's like
that seems aggressive.
I love how you try to. My favorite is you act like you have no idea where it came from.
Which part?
Or you'll come back like 10 minutes later. Wait, are you trolling me? I mean,
usually you're reasonably straightforward in those chats. So when you decide to troll someone, it takes me a minute.
I felt like you were saying if you had it to do over again, you would have taken Russell third.
No, that's not what I was saying at all.
No, I know. I had to go back and reread.
Oh, okay. I felt like I was very clear that that's not what I was saying at all.
I'm like, but the Kobe thing infuriated me.
I didn't touch the Kobe thing. That was all JP.
Man,
I'm arm's lengthening from the Kobe thing.
Well, I just heard the news that
No, that's with arms wide open, not arm's length.
Whew.
So for some context here, we're having group chat about the NBA draft last night and talking about, hey, where does Ace Bailey slide to?
What kind of draft is this if VJ Edgecombe is going third?
How high does VJ Edgecombe go? What do you do with like Trey Johnson? And so we're trying to compare, and DB said, VJ Edgecombe's upside is Russ. And I said, I thought most teams would take that.
I said he gives me a lot of Russ vibes.
Yes, Russ vibes. Russ vibes. That's right. And I said, I think most teams would take a Russ at 3. That does not me endorsing that decision.
I think you needed clarity.
I mean, I clarified like 8 times after that, but
Yeah,
you were in full
we did.
troll mode after that. So.
I was in full slit Jacob Padilla's throat mode.
And I got some strays.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The Russ because I can't stand it. Like the Russ revisionist history when I was standing on the table for that dude annoys me to no end.
Oh, there's no revisionist history there. If I'm at 3 and somebody tells me, hey, VJ Edgecombe is Russ, I'm out.
You guys just casually talked about a Hall of Fame career from Russ, and I was like,
Not you guys. Again, JP.
I didn't get any pushback.
I did not say any
You didn't
resume.
give me any pushback.
I did not give any resume on Russ. That was all JP.
Yeah.
All.
I'm already over the NBA, and it's only been.
Why are you over the NBA?
Well, because they wasted a really good segment of I'm over it.
What'd they do?
They were debating whether KD was top 10 of all time because Screaming A. Smith keeps calling him top 10.
Oh, he's not a top 10 player of all time.
Yeah, and I would easily make the case he's not even top 4 in his era. So if you're not top 4 in your era, you can't be top 10 of all time.
Gonna be real hard.
So they just should have killed it and moved on to like whether you should hold up a gas station spot when you run in, or you actually need to get gas, or whether you should put grapes back in the bag.
When you said hold up a gas station, I was like, what are you talking about?
Shane, do you park in a gas station stall and then run in, or do you park at the spots that are close to the gas station?
I park in the gas station stall, but it's usually way in the back.
I can't stand that.
No, you got to pull up to the actual parking spots.
I mean, I could see if there's no spots, but a lot of times, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the 1% increase in oil or whatever's going on in the world, but why are there so many yellow bags on gas station pumps?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Like the out-of-service ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are we transition? Like, is something going on that we don't know about?
Well, there's a new fuel.
Well, what is it?
It's E something.
Another E? We have an E already.
Yeah.
We got a couple.
Because Quick Trip
is
just
that, is that the one that the governor liked?
You got E85. I'm not sure. I do think a lot of the times they are replacing tanks or something.
It's a lot of yellow bags.
Yeah.
But I really only go to 3 gas stations.
So are you anti you get gas, then you run in from the spot? Do you want me to move my car after I get gas?
Like 94% of the time, I think the only time you should leave your car in a gas station pump is if you get gas.
But if I get gas and then I go in, I'm cool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. That's the only time I leave in the spot.
Yeah, I don't expect people to get gas and then move their car.
That's fine, yeah.
Because, I mean, the only thing that's worse than that is the people that park like 6 feet away from the pump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not about that. Because then you can't even get into the other side, like the pump next to them.
I don't understand. It's just a little bit of a head scratcher. And I'm like, most times it is me. But I always wonder, is that just me? Or I think it's just me. Why do people park and pump gas with the car?
I try and park
you could lay on the hood, excuse me, and reach the pump. Just get your plank game right. Scoot that thing over.
I try and park as close to the pump as possible.
People have to maneuver.
You're trying to leave space.
Yeah.
Because nothing. Well, not nothing. There's not a lot of things that make me more mad when there's a lot of spots occupied and then there's an open lane, but I can't get in it because somebody's too far over.
Yeah.
I'll throw some hands over that. I'm pretty upset.
I think we should kind of adopt what State Patrol and stuff is doing in Iowa, reinforcing the move over law. I think they issued 80 tickets this weekend for move over in Iowa.
Yeah, people have lost their good manners a little bit.
It's really bad.
Good decision making.
It's really bad.
I had somebody honk at me the other day because I got over, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Do you not see the whole flashing lights and sirens thing?"
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to get plowed over by an ambulance or anything.
Yeah. I had I had to pick something up yesterday on 168th and Fort.
Okay.
And there's a stretch, and I'm never over there anymore.
Oh, so that's out there for you now.
But it used to be my own stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I can navigate it pretty well, and I do know because I took Micah to his mom's yesterday or over the weekend to grab something, and so I'm just familiar with how it gets into one lane by 144th in front of the new Casey's. What's not so new anymore. So what happens is if you're going to head north on 144th and Fort, there's cones there. You can turn right in front of the Casey's. So it's angled to force you to go left. Well, you don't have to get all the way to the barricades before you veer left. Just go so you know what I mean? It snakes to the left.
Yeah.
So you don't have to get all the way down to the barricade before you get over.
Yeah.
There's
room to get over before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which you should then get over before.
Or not wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
So there's probably 7 cars ahead of me before the stoplight at 144th. So I'm kind of left. And there's a white pickup truck whose license plate number start V71. Not that I remember. He rolls down the window and he looks at me as though I'm going to go around him. No, I'm not. I'm just going to I'm already gonna be over here because why it's bottlenecking is because those people are late because they act like the inability to turn right is sneaking up on them.
Yeah, it's not.
I'd seen it for like 3 days in a row, and I hope those people did too. Like, just get to the left. You know what I mean? This dude, like, very few people look behind, but it was a little bottleneck. And my man looked at me, and I was like, I'm just saying, like, not today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't that bad.
You should look behind yourself more, though, when you're driving. There's a lot going on.
I think he second thought it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. You give him some kind of a look?
Yeah.
Tim says the worst of human behavior happens at the zipper merge.
So it's, in essence, that's what it's kind of like, but
Yeah.
you have to go from right to left.
Yeah.
I stayed left, but did not gain any ground.
Yeah. That's fair. You're not trying to pass anybody.
I don't know why everybody didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, common sense is
like, why wait till you get to the V or to the neck before you get over?
Well, there's a couple things. One, people are not very aware sometimes.
But when I told you it's snug,
it's tight.
Man, you almost had to do like, it's not quite 90 degrees, but like an 80-degree bend if you get all the way up to the barricade to go back left.
Pretty aggressive turn.
Yeah, just like subtle do that.
Casual.
Deal.
Just casual.
Not like when you'd make your turns when we were driving on the interstate and you go like 90-degree angles. Like,
listen, I'm just trying to be safe.
You can roll into that thing.
Just trying to be safe,
Do you need an angle?
Just want everybody to be safe, get there on time.
Guys that drives with a protractor.
Just want everybody to get there on safe and in one piece.
No, I understand. With all these trooper cars that are being hit, boy, they are pissed.
Yeah, well, I would imagine.
So you don't usually see pressers like that with that or that stern, but they're like Pat the producer, they're over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one spokeslady was like, put your phones down. Pay attention. I was like, ooh. Ooh.
It sounds like a message from our friends over at the NDOT.
Exactly.
Highway Safety Office. Don't get distracted while you're driving,
Man.
It's bad for everybody.
I mean, we're on a weird run, though. But I don't think people can't drive.
Yeah. I'm just saying, in a world of people running into state troopers, wouldn't you rather have a Ravi that's like,
no, 100%.
Got after it,
I depending on the day, most times I'd rather get there safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
That's kind of my thing. It's like, how much time am I actually saving? Unless there's an emergency or like I have to be somewhere, like the few minutes that it's, especially like zipping around town, you're not going to save that much time. Like on the interstate when we were going to Indy, I get it. Like, hey, you go a little extra over. It does save some real amount of time over that course.
Do you wonder why there's just certain spots in the city where it bottlenecks for no reason?
Absolutely. It drives me crazy.
Okay.
I'll tell you exactly where. One of them. On the interstate, just past 84th, where it like
heading east?
Yeah, where it slightly curves.
I don't get it.
And people just start slamming their brakes.
I don't get it.
There's no accidents. There's no lane closures. They start slamming.
You're talking about heading east?
Yes, because there's like a slight curve in the road.
From 80,
a road that was designed to
about
drive
96th and 80
to
60th.
Yeah.
It's a total crapshoot.
For no reason. Besides the fact there's just like a gentle curve in the road a couple times.
And typically when I'm coming from my house and I'm going to school, like I'll take 108th straight south. So I can look right over the interstate. Or even if I go 96 from south to north, I can look right over the interstate, and every time I just look to my right,
for no reason,
I shake my head.
For no reason at all.
I'm like, I wonder what's going on.
It drives me crazy.
I thought I was the only one that paid attention to how far the people park away from the gas station.
Oh, no, it makes me really mad.
It is incredible. And some of these gas stations, when in my old life, when we worked off of 50th, that very famous, well-run gas station with the impossible park spots?
That's unfortunately been robbed like 12 times.
Oh, has it?
Oh, yeah, that one gets knocked over a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, It used
to. I don't know if it still does.
A couple guys that worked there that I know, that I knew that family really well. They were really good friends with my brother. Yeah, but it's not as worse as the one on 13th. Do you ever go to the Senex on 13th that has the nice little mart where you can get the good food? Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go to that one all the time.
Dude, parking in that thing?
Nightmare.
Woo. Ooh.
Like a straight up nightmare.
Yeah.
You're right though. The one on 50th is really bad. I don't understand why gas station parking lots don't make any more sense than they do. Just like give a little more room. It's not that hard. Just like a little more space.
Well, they go up so fast.
I know. I don't think they
like
plan.
I was
plan those things
leaving
well.
that neighborhood when they started the cases on 144th and Fort,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "How is this going to work?" That parking lot already is a disaster.
Tiny.
It's just. Tough.
Oh, you know what's a really bad one? Also kind of by our old place down in Dundee.
Hmm?
It's I don't remember if it was an Amico, but it's down off of Underwood. It's like 50th and Underwood.
It's right down the street from where my brother used to live.
That is maybe worse than the one on 50th and Dodge.
That's probably about right.
It's awful. Because I used to go there and try and get like a drink or snacks or something before we'd go into the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
Would you have put that, like you don't have to say, people can draw their own conclusions. Would you have put the place to get beverages across the street from Kelly like that?
Oh.
You can only access it heading east.
Probably not. That's what it does drive me crazy where you've got like you can only get to a gas station or a convenience store.
Like that's a tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough place to get to.
Yeah, it is.
But it is a destination spot.
Yeah.
So maybe you can make up for it.
I guess, but it's still a
But
nightmare.
you can't even bang the left.
Dude, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about
if you're heading west.
Are
you a cardinal direction guy?
Yeah.
Me too.
I know what you're talking about.
And
it's easy in Omaha because I know like
it drives most people crazy.
Yeah, no.
I was having this conversation with Happer.
Really?
He's a big cardinal direction.
I think it's if you grow up in Omaha thing.
I don't know. I think it's an anal dude thing.
Really?
Yeah, because you fit the category, you fit the criteria.
I'm aware. Yeah.
You know, and it's
not about everything, but
and we don't like backtracking.
Yeah, I get it.
And people are like, you're an like they're just.
No, I don't like backtracking.
I don't either.
Like I want to find a way to get there, and then or if I'm going to like multiple places,
I'll pass a place.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll figure something else out.
No, I don't
want the wrong way.
I don't want to backtrack.
It'll drive my wife crazy because if we're going to like multiple places, I'll like spend a minute just to be like, okay, this is the order we need to go in, so I'm not going like boom.
I actually think that makes quite a bit of sense.
We did one yesterday or over the weekend where she wanted to go to a place after we had gone and gotten food, and I was like, but that's all the way in the other direction.
Where'd you eat the food?
It was close to our house, I think.
So you weren't in the vehicle eating?
No.
Okay.
We sat down.
Okay. You know what's funny?
What's that?
I'm not doing anything moving shopping wise after I eat. I'm eating last.
So
is that weird?
I think I prefer to eat last because I'm not really in the mood to do stuff after that usually, especially
like if I have something else to do later on in the day. There's it's darn near 100% chance I ain't eating.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
It was if I remember correctly, it was a blood sugar thing. Like, hey, we're starting.
Yeah, you're not afforded that luxury.
We're starting to dip, so we better eat soon.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple other things to do, but I was like, can we eat closer over there, or can we do that? Like, I don't really want to do that first because we need to eat. And she's like, no, we'll just go after. And I was like,
my appointment wasn't until 2 yesterday.
I don't really want to do that.
I didn't touch a morsel.
Yeah.
Nope, not a one. Not a one. I don't know what that is, but. And I'm certainly, if I'm running errands, I'm eating last.
Yeah.
Like, last. I saw two guys that were working, and, the conditions dictate what you have to do, but they were eating using utensils in their truck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, I don't know. I would have to be in super confines to eat something in a vehicle with utensils.
So with utensils, I'm totally out on.
I'm not going to eat probably.
No.
But, I mean, they may have had, like, probably what they do, I guarantee you they have minimum 12-hour day.
Sure.
But.
I'm doing something I can eat with my hands. I eat in my car.
Can you enjoy your food like that?
Absolutely not. Like, I eat in my car a lot. I'm not going to pretend like I don't, but it's always something I can eat with my hands.
Yeah, I never eat in my vehicle.
Yeah. I find it necessary a lot, so it's just kind of. I eat when my blood sugar tells me. Like that's pretty much my whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, I'm about to go do this. I probably should get a snack in before I do that. Whatever.
I just met you on. I let you. Hey. You just preface it with the hey.
I know. Sid says you haven't experienced a gas station until you've been to Buc-ee's. I've been to a Buc-ee's.
With 2 E's and a C?
Yeah, not our Buc-ee's, the Southern Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Jay Les and I went to one out of town.
Can I?
It was fine.
Is this? Can we like circle of trust this thing?
Yeah.
They're only okay.
No, I get it.
Like they're big, they're cool. But
I'm probably with you.
I don't know. When you grow up going to the world's largest truck stop in Iowa, a Buc-ee's is like, oh, it's nice.
There's potty training a dog there.
World's largest truck stop?
Yeah.
They do. They have a nice little
that
dog walking area.
Yeah.
Can I pet that dog?
Yes, you can.
You know, so it's like, I mean,
that was Biggie.
They're cool. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Biggie.
Back in the day?
Taking a duker, yeah. What? This dude's just over there like, is what I'm saying this morning resonating with your peculiarities?
Can I clarify?
He's chomping at the bit.
Taking a duker's funny. That's just a funny term.
It is funny. Can I clarify the parking at the pump thing?
Yeah.
I think it just depends. Like
Are you a far parker?
Well, yeah, I'm a far parker, but like
no, he's talking about going in.
Yeah, the going in thing.
He's on delay. It's okay.
But no, I just want to. I want to clarify. I want to clarify. But I didn't want to interrupt you guys.
Okay, man, it's fine.
So like the QT I always go to, I always park by the store.
He's traumatized because of you, and you just egged him on.
I always park by the store.
Yeah.
They have bigger stalls.
Lots of spots over there.
Lots of spots. The lot.
You're talking about where you live.
The one by my house, right?
Yeah, the lot is clean.
It is. They do a good job. That's a nice one.
They do.
You're talking about the one directly north of you.
Yeah. So and it depends upon the gas station. Like if they have the clean lot, bigger stalls, it's easier to get into. I mean, it really just depends upon the gas station. And when I said that earlier, the one that popped in my mind, it was a smaller gas station. It's harder to park up front. So when I go to that one, I always park at the pump.
Yeah, that's funny. The only thing I know about that gas station is I had taken my mom to Costco. This was a couple years ago, and she's having kind of a hard time with her knee and her hip, and she wanted a Coke, but she had a craving for crushed ice. So she's like, "No, don't stop. We're almost home." You know, because she doesn't live that far from there. She's like, "No, we're almost home. It's fine." And I knew I had to like unload the groceries and stuff, and I just wanted to have something to drink. So I walked into that QT, and there's an older lady that works there, and I was kind of walking around for a second because I wasn't familiar with the setup,
the layout.
And my mom is very particular about Coke to ice ratio.
Yeah.
Even when we went to Terra Gaucha, it was like, "Can I get some more ice?" So I'm well aware.
Yeah.
So I was probably coming across as very particular as I was doing, and I thought she was going to say something. And she said, "Boy, you sure is pretty." I was like, "I'd get fired." I would get fired. And I paused, and she said,
"Oh my goodness."
"Don't act all shy now. I see how you prancing around this store." Safe to say I haven't been there in 2 years. 2 years I haven't been in that place.
Well,
True story, honest to God. That's exactly how I mean, you talk about just getting like I'm telling you, she shut your boy down. Like I probably was about 4'1". I was Shane size looking up. I was like, wow.
Don't get all shy now.
Didn't say one word. And how often does that happen?
I probably would just awkwardly laugh and be like, okay.
Man. Stomach got all queasy.
You know now.
I said, I walked out. I sat in my mom's car. I said, "Man, I think I just got punked."
You know now. I'm just gonna look at you and say, "Well, don't get all shy now."
Yeah, she said the way you're prancing around, and that's not even what it was. Like it was the styrofoam versus like.
Yeah,
she's particular.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
No, I'm very particular about my drink. Hey, what size you want for that Carolina hoodie? Sorry, Jake just texted me.
It's a short sleeve?
Yeah, XX?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wow, he might be my dude.
Oh, yeah, he's got you. He was funny. I texted him your like color power rankings. He's like, "Oh man, it's a good thing you sent that because I'd have gotten it all wrong."
I wonder what he was thinking.
He probably would have gone gray. Yeah. He does a lot of grays. Based on the stuff that he sends me from his school, I'm guessing he would have gone gray.
I mean, so the only thing that I would have pushed back on is you put white before gray. But it was 3-4, so I wasn't going to split hairs. I probably
go gray before white.
Gun to head.
Okay.
Go gray before white.
Fair.
I don't mind any of them.
Yeah. I figured you'd be cool either way, but
I mean,
I think you got to go the Blues first.
Did you
sure,
see the
though.
one he had on in his interview the other day?
Huh? Which one was that?
It had the Tar Heel footprint right here, and it said Carolina football.
Yeah.
And it was dark blue with Carolina blue.
So
lettering.
I really like that. The navy base.
It just was
with the Carolina blue lettering.
Sweet.
Really pops.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I am fascinated by them.
I don't know what to do with them.
I am fascinated by, and I like Carolina football, but it's just really hard to get in Nebraska.
It's more like a curiosity.
I like them.
Yeah.
But I certainly there's Nebraska and then there's
anybody else.
Let's say if Nebraska's at the top of the cul-de-sac,
mm-hmm.
SC is like right when you get ready to leave the neighborhood,
mm-hmm.
and then everybody else is outside the neighborhood.
Okay.
Like we'll skip about 12, 15 houses.
Okay.
Well, in your neighborhood, a lot more because it's a big neighborhood. But
there are so many houses in that neighborhood.
But I do have a thing for like the Lawrence Taylors and the Dre Bly's,
sure.
and the Curtis Johnson and Ebenezer Ekubon and Greg Ellis, and I mean, I think they can win.
You big Ronald Curry, the football player guy.
No, you keep throwing him. No, I'm just going to tell you. You can ask me about Ronald Curry once every 4 months, which is somehow how you can weave it. You can, and it's going to be no every single time.
Were you a big Julius Peppers guy though?
Yes,
he was a freak.
Yeah,
he was fun to watch.
J. Pep is a guy that I was like, please stop playing basketball, just play football.
You big Akeem Nicks guy?
No,
I liked Akeem Nicks.
I didn't. So you know what's funny?
Yeah,
I don't. This is again, it's just me. I don't like the way he looked in his pads. He's super high cut.
Yeah,
and I didn't like the way that his fluidity. It's a big reason. I look at like Michael Irvin. It's not because he's a Cowboy.
Yeah,
I don't like the way he moved. No.
What about Giovanni Bernard?
Little squatty body. Gio was nice.
He was nice.
He could tote that thing. He's fine.
Okay.
But I was a big Johnson & Johnson guy. Like I played with Carolina on Bill Walsh.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I like the two. I was a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you weren't going to get very many snaps.
Just running that thing out.
Yeah.
I didn't really start paying attention to Carolina football until first Mac Brown era, late 90s.
Yeah, he was legit.
Yeah. Well, because they were giving Florida State problems, so that's when I started paying attention.
Yeah, he was legit. Yeah, Florida State had a classic the other day. It was Ron Franklin was on the call. It's Thursday night, Virginia.
Oh, 95 against the Barber Twins?
It was a classic, yeah.
Yeah.
That place was rocking.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Hostile.
I was like, dang, Charlottesville, you
hostile.
You guys get down like no brie cheese and shrimp scampi pregame? No, it was
scampi would be a little messy to eat pregame.
I don't know.
Like trying to eat in your car, you know.
Shout out UVA, no. Brie cheese and crackers.
I remember that one, and I've watched that one on ESPN Classic a couple times, even though it doesn't go my way.
Warwick Dunn was so.
I love that dude.
Sweet.
I love that dude.
God, I love his running style. There's a couple of clowns I like. Well,
I think I still have a Warwick Dunn Bucks jersey.
You know who was nice?
Who?
He wasn't super fleet of foot. Amp Lee's running style was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I love the name too.
Yeah, great name.
I mean,
it's not quite Oda B. McDowell, but Amp Lee's pretty good.
He kind of has some Harvey Williams to him. On the balls of his feet, and that's why I almost was enamored with Ives.
Oh, because
because he's still too upright, and getting behind his pads, but he is on the balls of his feet.
Yeah.
But there's just certain running styles, that I like, and Amp Lee had one of them. He was smooth as Malanta.
A really random one running style that I like, and I think I know why, but I'm not totally sure because I'm not as specific as you. Like I haven't really nailed down. It's just kind of I know it when I see it. I loved, especially when he was in college, I loved how Noshawn Moreno ran.
Yeah, Moreno was nice.
I think it was the contact balance.
Man, that's probably his best asset.
Yeah. Like that's the thing that I was like, and I was convinced he was going to be phenomenal.
I'm a big balance guy.
I love Noshawn Moreno.
You'd think I would like Emmett way more than I do, but because he had
good balance,
tremendous balance.
Yeah,
arguably outside of his lateral quickness,
probably his best attribute.
Yeah.
I
Physically, would you call vision?
I would
you
call
can't
it
really see it. I just know it when I do.
I'd call it
see
a running back
like
attribute, but it's not a physical attribute. It's
like
the
anti-DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing like in basketball, like court presence. I mean, or football, like vision down the field, like as a quarterback. Like that's definitely an attribute. You can't physically see it though.
Yeah. Sean Moreno was.
I liked that dude a lot.
God, he was good.
I loved that dude. I was convinced he was going to be a dude in the NFL.
Until the horrific knee injury.
Yeah. I mean, he had a shot, but obviously it wasn't what I thought it was going to be in the league. I loved that dude.
Some about those Georgia backs.
Yeah.
I mean, there are dozens.
Mm-hmm. He was on like the front end of the modern ones.
Well, I mean, you had Hurst and Edwards and Davis.
I was a big Garrison Hurst guy with the 49ers.
I hated that running style. You know that chop. He's like
choppy feet guy.
Can't stand that.
Yeah. I just liked him because he was good with the Niners.
It's not necessary. It's not the choppy feet. It's he's not gaining any ground. He was never gaining any ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now he made it work for him.
Yeah.
But I was not a huge fan.
Worse running style for your eye, Le'Veon Bell or Garrison Hurst?
Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
Le'Veon Bell.
I'm just trying to gauge how much the Hurst.
And you're going to say, well, it's like everybody else that plays for your team. I had a really hard time cheering for Le'Veon Bell.
No, I get it.
Really hard time cheering for Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand the running style because it's cardinal sin, and he did the thing that I hated the most. When the first guy to make contact with you as an offensive lineman, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out. And he literally
he'd like
would
hold
put
his
his hand on those guys.
Like ride their backs a little bit.
Knock it off.
Mm.
And remember, I didn't really learn how to play running back. Some may say ever, but late.
Yeah, because you're a quarterback, right?
I didn't play running back until 1991.
Yeah, you're a senior year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all my habits are what I was taught when I first got to college. And, we would do like these read and react drills with Solich. And, he'd say, he'd press that thing to the point of attack. Don't make a move until the last second. And you couldn't feel for the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't want you, he'd move the bag at the last minute or one of the GAs. And if you put your hand on the bag, it was like you were like the laughing stock. So the goal was to get as close to that thing as you could before you made your move and still gain ground, which is why part of the reason why I fell in love with guys like LP, right? Those full speed cut guys that are still gaining ground, like getting vertical
while they're cutting,
that's like Tay-Tay.
Mm.
Watch T. Jenks run when he cuts, and he's built low to the ground.
Is that like Amir was like that?
So,
because he had the jump cut.
Amir, I never, ever, ever loved his running style.
Okay.
But I love him as a back.
Yeah.
It works for him. It's really hard to teach.
Yeah.
And it's
like a very like instinctive.
And it's not overly efficient.
Sure.
Over time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get caught more times than not with your feet off the ground. But
because he does like the 2-footed kind of jump cut.
Yeah,
right?
some reason he's been on my algorithm a ton. We may have to grab him.
I'd love to talk to him. I've never talked to him before.
Listen, he's a menace.
Yeah,
mentally.
Well, I mean,
remember I was talking about like
he got where he got.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
He's talented. It's not all it is.
No, but that's
gifted. He is.
There are guys that have been more talented that haven't made it,
and a lot of guys would have quit.
Yeah.
How many times he's been released? Yeah.
Yeah.
He just keeps hanging around.
Yeah.
He's just grimy.
For sure.
It's just funny, man. He just full stop all the time, stays on the gas. Shane, do you want to get to TK?
Yeah, let's get to TK real quick before.
All right, what's my man TK want to talk? Shane, punch him up.
TK, what's going on, buddy?
Fellas.
How we doing?
Oh, another day in paradise. I figure since we're just naming random dudes, I'd like to name some random dudes.
Fire away. What do you got?
Oh, also, it's weird that Pete Carroll and
Eckler?
My gosh, what I blanked.
Eckler? You talking about my two guys?
Eckler looks so much alike in that photo, in those two photos.
Yeah, little father son.
They don't look alike.
Kind of do.
Else.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
That's a good call, TK.
They do. Yeah.
So just top naming dudes. Adrian Peterson, the Georgia Southern running back.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Went to the Bears.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah, man
He was a certified terror. A terror in college. Like.
And the way he read inside, like zone dive, was perfect.
if you're ever going to run the flex bone, you only need to watch Adrian Peterson.
Or I'll give you Dwyer from Georgia Tech. Two guys that did it.
Yeah,
Dwyer was really
good.
Two guys that did it as well as anybody you will ever see. It was.
And then Jarek McKinnon.
Oh, so he runs like the ground is hot, doesn't he?
Yes. He's like a 30 pounds less lighter Pacheco who has Olympic level track speed.
Speaking of guy without good vision, I appreciate the call, TK. That's
he went back to back Georgia Southern on us.
That's Pacheco's problem.
No vision.
Yeah.
Those holes have to be.
He misses a ton of holes, but he runs so goddamn hard.
Yeah. I think sometimes he creates his own holes, and we think like, oh, what a great run. It's like, nope, he wasn't supposed to go there, but it worked out.
Left about 10 of them on the field.
Yeah.
But
you got to make up for it somehow.
Well, he runs hard. They got a nice little stable.
They do.
Because I forgot about Mitchell when you brought him up yesterday.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell's good.
I was thinking
I like Elijah Mitchell. Richard.
Yep.
Yeah. I like Elijah Mitchell. He's a nice back.
We're getting into this quarterback debate yesterday because somebody started a discussion topic that Tamala would be Coach Rhule's Joe Burrow. And you don't have to litigate that if you don't want to, but like somewhere during the thread, we got to talking about quarterbacks and top 3 or 4 quarterbacks and, where Burrow belongs. And a couple guys have
in the league.
Yeah, put Burrow ahead of Mahomes in this thread. And, we're kind of splitting hairs. I think the top 4 in some order are going to be Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, and Burrow.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
And so I just went down the validating Joe Burrow thread. Oh, I would not have had any problems with 9 wins if he won the MVP last year.
Dude, it's unreal. I saw a TikTok about it the other day where like all the things they did offensively almost always lead to at least a 12 or 13 win team.
Yeah.
And the defense was just so bad.
Yeah, like scoring over 34 points 5 times and losing.
Yeah. No one, I think, in the league history has had a losing record in games that scored over 34 points.
Losing.
Yeah.
Those games. How about the 43-9 though?
Yeah.
He threw for 49-18. You know what his completion percentage was?
High 60s.
70. And a 17-game schedule. They went 9-8.
Yeah.
They didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
You know how many times he was sacked?
No.
41.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Listen, no 1,000-yard rusher.
No offensive line.
I'm not going to say that. No 1,000-yard rusher.
No offensive line.
You're sacked 41 times.
I would say if you can't run the ball and you can't protect the quarterback, what's that tell you about your offensive line?
How do you go 43-9 and throw for almost $5,000?
Because he's a dude. I would argue within that 4 you said, I would argue that it is clearly Mahomes and Burrow in some order, and then the other two. That's the argument I would make.
I'm not gonna stand for the Josh Allen slander because he is
really good. He's really good.
He is incredible.
Yeah.
It's just weird that he won an MVP. Wait, he did win the MVP, right?
Yeah, last year.
And the stats weren't.
It wasn't even his best year.
No.
Statistically.
No.
He's really good. I'm not slandering Josh Allen. I'm saying he's clearly the 3rd or 4th best quarterback in the league. I'm telling you, if I have to take one of them, I am taking Burrow or Mahomes 1, 2, and then I'm looking at the other 2 guys.
Yeah, was that my guy Adam? Was that Husker X's and O's? We were talking about. Somehow I went down the Dak Prescott rabbit hole,
mm-hmm.
and would the Rams move off of Stafford to make a play for Dak Prescott? And I said, and he agreed, or he may have said it first, and I agreed. Dak with McVay would be terrifying.
Really interesting.
But I think I like Dak more than most. I
like Dak. I just don't know. Like, he's had a few different coaches. I don't know what his ceiling is or if this is just who he is.
Yeah, I mean.
Like, we always got the sense that Stafford was better than we got to see in Detroit, right?
No.
No?
Stafford was.
He was really good in Detroit.
Really good in Detroit.
I mean, from a winning standpoint.
Yeah.
Because we correlate quarterback play.
Shane, did I beat the Matt Stafford drum to death?
Oh, my gosh.
I always say this, the severe one to fight me. That was another topic. Right? He wanted to touch me up pretty bad.
From a winning standpoint, I feel like we always thought Stafford was better than he was showing in Detroit.
Yeah.
Because of just what was around
Stafford's
him.
incredible.
Statistically, he was incredible. And the fact that he got Detroit to 2 playoffs in general was a miracle. But it felt like, hey, there's probably more to unlock here if you get him in the right situation. I don't know that we feel that way with Dak.
I just think he's better than.
He's good. Like he's a good quarterback.
If they find a way,
but do you feel like there's more there?
If they find a way, who are you, Jacob Padilla?
I'm just asking.
Is Dak leaving meat on the bone?
I don't think he's leaving meat on the bone. I just think that's who he is. That's my question. Because if your answer is yes, then you feel like he is leaving meat on the bone. I don't think he is. I think this is who he is. And it's very good. I don't know if that changes much situationally. We've seen him win a few different situations.
And an apologetic, for the sake of not coming across as a Dak apologist, I'll leave it at this. I think he has managed to function at a pretty high level amongst a lot of chaos and dysfunction.
I think that's fair.
I think he does not get near enough credit for managing. It just wouldn't be a fun place to play.
I would agree. Agree.
Now, I am hoping that Schottenheimer can kind of resurrect some of that talent. Now, they don't have a ton of depth. They don't have any depth, to be honest. And they better get this Parsons deal done.
So I'll rewind a little bit here. I thought he had 3 head coaches. He's only going to be on his 3rd coming up this year.
Yeah.
And I don't consider Garrett or McCarthy offensive geniuses by any means. So to your point with McVay, that could be interesting.
Yeah, it's terrifying if you don't like Dak.
Well, I don't have any feelings about Dak whatsoever, really.
Like if you're one of those guys that never wants to see Dak validated,
I
don't ever put him with McVay.
I don't have a problem with that. I think everybody to a certain degree looks better with like a McVay or a Shanahan or like
this goes against
Andy Reid.
Everything. I'm gonna still cheer for Pickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
did you even like him that much in Pittsburgh?
I just have a soft spot for him.
Okay.
I tolerate him because I don't think he knows any better.
No,
I get it. Hit me with it. Cheap trick. Pat Benatar, somebody. Who's hit me with your best shot? One of those.
Pat Benatar.
Pat.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Go all Ravi,
put it another
Benatar. At some age you should learn, but his brain's still materializing.
He's only 24. I get he's only 24.
But I'm gonna ride.
How many times you got to mess up though for it to figure it out? I know it could take a few. At some point you are who you are. And I know for you that's honestly one of our biggest disagreements on anything.
Oh yeah.
Is you always think people can change. And listen, they can. I'm playing the odds though.
Yeah. And I'm
playing the odds.
I'm a big if you can insulate yourself.
Yeah.
I think you have to be. I'm not saying anybody is capable of functioning at a different level regardless of the environment you put them in. Like sometimes it has to be pretty specific.
Yeah.
And you need guardrails. But I
like Ace Bailey.
I'm wow.
Sorry, you like
I will continue to cheer for Pickens. I hope he does well as a Steeler, as a Cowboy.
Yeah.
And it just is gross and it's icky and
you feel good about yourself.
But I kind of want to see him flourish.
Yeah.
I like Pickens.
Okay.
I do.
Listen, I'm not rooting against him. I'm just not going to invest a lot of emotional.
I pay fairly
equity.
close attention to Georgia.
Yeah.
My guy had been back for all of 2.5 games and got booted from the bowl game.
Yeah.
In game after a touchdown.
Yeah.
He's the elevator's clearly
got some issues.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I just cheer for him as we continue to.
Well, I mean, it's
talk about Aaron Rodgers.
Breaking news. Pretty sure it's his last year.
Yeah. I would have liked to have heard him say, I kept waiting. I would have liked to have heard him say, you know what, I'm going to try to go out a winner. I just want him to put a bow on that thing. Like, hey, I feel like we can make a run at this thing. Say something to encourage me.
Nah, he's not going to do that.
I mean, and maybe he didn't want to set the expectation level, but he did talk about, a class organization that is used to winning and playing for Tomlin. So I'll ride with that.
Man, you're just digging through the poop to find that cheese.
Well, I know he ranks 29 out of 33 in QBR since 2022. 29 out of 33 of all the quarterbacks that make the ratings. He's got a 45 QBR. I understand.
You've seen Jurassic Park, right?
So I saw a truck coming today.
Yeah.
That looked just like the vehicle. It was a flatbed with the black top and the silver and the Jurassic logo on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting you brought that up.
So,
that's awesome.
You know the scene. It's pretty.
Of course you would like that, you child.
It's pretty early on where the two scientists, the guy and the gal, are in the park.
Is this the original?
Yeah, the original.
Because you're saying the guy and the gal. Okay.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
And they go up to like the 6 Stegosaurus, and there's like a giant pile of poop.
Oh, and she's got to put her hand in
She
there?
like sticks. That's you looking for the cheese.
Wow.
You're just sticking your hands deep. That's Aaron Rodgers.
I don't even feel like that's a little graphic.
What happened?
Like the big pile is Aaron Rodgers, and
Nice analogy.
you're just the doctor being like, "Where's the cheese?"
That's fine.
That's what I thought of when I hear you trying to be like, "Just give me something to root for. Just give me anything, Aaron." Is that a little too graphic for you?
This is a little unnecessary.
All right, my bad.
It's fine. I just was saying yesterday, somebody was prying into my personality. I was just talking about personality, and I talked about kind of staying in the moment and needing to maximize. Otherwise, I'm one of those people. He's fascinated too. I was like, I'm one of those people that can process through outcomes and still pick the wrong thing.
Yeah, which is unusual. Most people can't process through the outcomes if they make the wrong
because it could be for whatever reason, how my emotions are revving, and sometimes I'll say to myself, you know what? I'm always under control. Today I don't want to be.
Yeah, you think it's worth it. Whatever the thing is worth it.
And he goes, that's kind of an interesting philosophy. And I said, I have to be careful that it doesn't come across as manipulative because I can process quickly. And he goes, usually people with that kind of self-awareness don't find themselves in situations like this. And I said, that's exactly why I'm here, because it is abnormal.
Yeah.
Right. But to land the plane, I was like, I'm a big small victories guy. And
little victories can keep you going. Like little stuff can keep you going.
As a competitor, I just need
a little bit.
Just little
breadcrumbs.
Not do the rest.
Pieces of cheese, as I like to call it.
And you call it digging through poop. With that ridiculous glove that she put on that went up to her armpit. I know the
exact scene that I'm talking about.
It was a big pile of poop. She had to put a long glove on.
It actually would have been funner if she puts just like a normal latex glove on, still dives like shoulder deep in. You'd be like, "What are you doing, lady?"
Yeah,
I hope she washed her hands after that.
She did what?
That was the line in it.
I thought he said worst. Did you say
did.
worst?
He did.
Did he pull a bish?
It was like a Worcestershire sauce.
I'm a little taken aback that
That the analogy?
No pun intended, that you went to those depths. That's a little much.
It's just the first thing I thought of as you're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Of course it is, because you're a poopy person. Yeah, that's how we're gonna roll.
I'm no scientist in Jurassic Park, that's for sure.
Coming up on the show.
Coming up on the show today, we've got Brian Christopherson.
What a super
coming up at
feminine cleaning hygiene product.
Like face wash.
Yep.
Yep. We've got Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 at 8. Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln at 8:30. We're going to talk to Jessica Coody at 8:40, 8:45 from Husker Radio Network. And then we'll wrap up the guests with 9 o'clock. Kyle Crooks, your new play-by-play voice for Nebraska football. We'll have all that and more coming up here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
temperature that we getting Rico. Big bunny rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Avery Howard here at Dylan Rhule at the College World Series. Dylan, you've been here all week, but you've been supporting a lot of your guys. Today, you're supporting a buddy of yours, Derek Curiel. How cool has it been to watch him out here and now compete for a championship?
It's kind of surreal to see what he's doing. I'm very proud of him, and I hope he gets this win today so we can celebrate together. And it's just crazy. Nebraska's in the middle of the country, and people don't really know about the state or what it's about. So to have him kind of meet up with us here, it's a cool experience.
And you've shared publicly that you've been really proud of your Polynesian culture and how they represented this week. Why is that something you're so proud of?
Yeah, it's just the island's so small, and the guys are just such great people, and that I think it's cool that we get to show that off on a national stage like this. So, I'm very, very excited, very happy for them, and, we look to keep it moving.
For people that haven't been in the College World Series, you've been all week. What makes this event so special?
I think just the fans that come out here from all the different schools, the atmosphere that they kind of create, with the music and everything like that. It makes it an experience that, you should come try for sure and kind of make a fun weekend out of it.
Imagine your first dream home and the feeling of walking inside for the first time. With Centrist Federal Credit Union's First Time Home Buyers program, you are at the doorstep of bringing your vision to life. Welcome home. From your neighborhood mortgage experts, Centrist Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Johnson went back, comes in, she makes the catch, and it's a chance for a game-winning double play. That's how it ends. The Arkansas Razorbacks are headed back to Super Regionals.
What kind of goes through your mind as you're preparing to give that final speech?
It's the worst speech of all time because you don't want to rehearse it because then it sounds like you knew it was coming.
It was 12-0. Like we were kind of anticipating, okay, like this is gonna end tonight. Like nobody wants it to, but it's going to.
10, 20 years down the road, the wins and losses, you don't remember them.
All the success is great and it is very memorable, and those are part of the good memories. But I think the time we have together on the bus, in the locker room, at practice, on the field, are what lasts a lifetime.
You just go out there and you look those kids in their eyes and try to articulate to them how much they mean to you and this program. And then when you finish and you stand there and watch everybody, and it's hard. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is Husker 24/7 senior writer, Brian Christopherson.
Yeah, you got guys walking into Ace Hardware without their shirts on.
Brian Christopherson.
We got a pretty good sewing circle in this state.
Brian Christopherson.
To me, it's like crunch time, baby.
Here is Brian Christopherson.
We're back here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, presented by Central Federal Credit Union. We are joined now by our friend Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. BC, what's going on, bud?
Not much. You know, all those takeouts you have of me in the lead in are from one segment where I must have had like 3 Red Bulls right before or something.
You know what? It's not even, I wouldn't even put that one in. I mean, you've had some gems, right? Like that's the freshest, but it might not even be the funniest. Like that's kind of scary. You just sometimes get on a little roll and it's pretty funny.
Once every 7 months or so. That's what I'm here for.
This is going to be a game that knocks the cool out of your walk.
All right. Do you guys not? This is tough because you guys are on the air more. Do you guys not like listening to your voice back?
I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I almost literally can fast forward through it.
It took me a long time. I had to get. I don't like it still, but I had to get used to it because it got to a point. I was very much a watch my game film type of guy when I was first starting out, especially. So I'd listen to everything I did, and at some point I just had to get used to it. Otherwise, I would have driven myself crazy.
BC, you know what it is? This is the honest to goodness truth. And I don't love talking on the phone. I think that's well documented. But the reason I don't leave voicemails is not because I don't want you to know what I said or I'm thinking. It's because I hate the way my voice sounds.
Well, I'll see if I can get racked during this
Yeah.
Yeah. When I transcribe tape from interviews, I fast forward through any question I ask to get to the answer. So that's where I am with it. But glad to know I have a lot of company with that.
All right. So how are we feeling about your twins?
Oh, they suck again.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a streak. They're streaky good or streaky bad, aren't they?
Yeah, but probably streaky bad is probably the more, and I know that's where they're at right now. So I'm inclined to say that, but that's probably the more truer example of them as a team. I think they're going to be like a 75 win team, 75 to 78.
Well, my partner here is like the only person in the continental U.S. that thinks 85 and 77 is bad. I said, it's like, oh, the Red Sox would be somewhere around 8 or 7 or 8 games
within 7
of
games
500. And I go, oh, like 85 and 77. He goes, oh, 75 or 77 and 85. And I go, 85 and 77 is good.
That was the 87 Twins, I believe, were 85 and 77 that won.
Yeah, all he needs is a Urbeck, a Gladney.
Yeah, we just need Hurrdat pulling the guy off the base.
I've got Trevor Story.
Guy's just too big to be playing that position for a long time.
I've got the shell of Walker Buehler.
Do you know how far it has to be to bend over in your range of motion to be a short like Trevor Story was for so long? That's a long way to the ground, Robbie.
It is a long way to the ground.
It's amazing that Ripken did it, and he wasn't near that. Well, I won't say he wasn't near.
He was, what, 6'3"?
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
It's hard to be that tall as a shortstop.
Hard to be that tall in general, unless you hoop.
I wouldn't know.
Things me and you don't have to worry about, BC.
I wouldn't.
I don't.
Hey, so level of surprise with Rhule and Odom.
I'm not surprised. Rhule
came together pretty quick, though, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I thought Nebraska was right in the mix with him because of the job that EJ Barthel did getting in on him early. Barthel, I think, really circles some backs that are on his radar, pretty early in the process, and he sticks with them. Are you guys still there?
I'm here.
All right.
I just have my man L3 is over here adjusting the camera.
All right. Yeah, I think EJ Barthel did.
Don't worry, BC. I won't leave you.
All right, good. I was getting scared there. But I think Barthel did a good job recruiting him within the process. That's something that Jamal Rhule mentioned, that Nebraska was sort of one of those day ones as far as bigger schools that believed in him. And I think when it got down to it, I think it was a tough decision for him. And he even acknowledged that, like, the night before He had a lot to think about. He liked Virginia Tech a lot too, but it's a good win for the Huskers. And then Danny Odom, that one felt kind of old school to me, where it was like day of, you're hearing buzz like, is Ohio State entering here? And it was supposed to be like a 4:00 Central announcement, and ended up being like 4:40, and you're kind of wondering what's going on. And so whenever you get a player like him, top 247 defender, who other programs like Ohio State, like Oklahoma, are watching to see what he does, and there's some disappointment when he doesn't pick them, it's a pretty nice deal. So obviously you got to keep fighting the whole way with a player like that. What I like about Danny Odom, when you watch I know it's his highlights, it's his better stuff, but he's not just a good guy in man coverage. He likes to hit. He craves contact. And so I think that he's got a lot of tools besides just like he could lock someone down in 7-on-7 that you like as a football player.
BC, do you have a little more confidence on like a Danny Odom staying as part of the class when he was fully aware of all the interest and offers he had before he committed to Nebraska, as opposed to like a CJ Brano, where it seemed like a lot of that stuff in terms of the higher level programs coming after him was after? Like, he knew the decision. Odom knew the decision he was making when he made it.
Yeah. I think, he saved Nebraska for the last OV. And so that was nice. And, probably a lot of people in his ear the last 24 hours of that deal. But I think he trusted what went back to, honestly, like February, because he popped in for a visit then, and the groundwork was sort of laid. That was the trip that established with him, okay, Nebraska is not the stereotype as far as this campus that I thought it was going to be. I really like the coaches, and I think this is a big recruiting win for John Butler, Addison Williams. Addison Williams is a coach this month. I've done a lot of interviews with 27, 28 guys. Every one of them those DBs brings him up as just like how real he is, and one of those coaches who isn't just going to tell you, what you're good at and give you all the sunshine, but he's going to tell you what you have to work on. And the guys who really want to be elite players, they love that. They gravitate towards those type of coaches. And so I've heard about Addison Williams from recruits and interviews more than about any coach this month. I've interviewed maybe more DBs, so that's part of it, but that definitely stands out to me from one of the takeaways this summer is you're getting to know Addison Williams, and what I'm finding out is recruits really like his personality and just how genuine he is.
Yeah, I would concur too, BC. First time he reached out, a couple times in a row, I know that Ravi just thinks I don't answer his call, but I didn't answer his call, Coach Williams' call either, because I didn't have his number typed in, but it came up Addison Williams, and I was like, there's no way. And I'm at state basketball. I'm like, he called back like 5 minutes later, and he left a message and kind of said who it was. So I walked out in the hallway or in the tunnel, and we kind of chopped it up a little bit, and we didn't talk one thing about football. We talked about his move and his father-in-law and my dad and the family and the kids, and it's going to be tough because he couldn't get him here until June because he wanted him to finish school. And we talked about everything but Caleb or football. And I left thinking, man, that was 19 or 20 minutes with a stranger that didn't feel strange at all. You can imagine, or I could imagine what he would be like if he's really trying to get something out of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the authenticity was something you could definitely feel just given the dialogue.
Yeah, and it feels like with at least 50% of recruits, they'll bring what you're talking about up as much, Damon. It's the coaches who, they want to talk ball and really get into it when they get to that. But when it's other things, they're totally invested in knowing about you and your family and learning about what makes you the person tick. And I feel like those coaches are the best recruiters. That matters so much to guys, that they're going to have a full relationship with a coach that's not just all about the film room. And so it seems like Addison Williams, as we're getting to know him more, does really thrive in those areas.
I think it's fascinating the level of security that the coaching staff has to have, especially in the secondary, because, I mean, that would be like us That would be like hiring 3 beat writers to do the same job, or to hire 3 number ones, or to hire 3 play-by-play guys and have somebody's job slightly different than what they're normally doing, right? You have a DC in Addison Williams, former DC. You have a first-time DC, but a well-experienced coach in John Butler. And then you have Phil Snow.
Mm-hmm.
So to watch those 3 work, I'm thinking to myself, well, shoot, do they have a built-in contingency plan? If you don't like one, you can lean on the other 2. If you don't like 2, there's always the one hammer. You can play to each other's strengths. You have a philosoph guy like Butler. You have a relational guy like Addison Williams, and you have the experienced technician like Phil Snow. Like, you're just allowed you have some margin of error within the position group because you've spread out the skill sets of the 3 guys that are heavily involved.
Yeah, that's true. And it's such a large group too. Like, during the spring, you would, in the times we were over there, and granted it was brief, but you would see like Phil Snow, a coach with 4 or 5 decades of experience, working with like Bryson Weber, like one-on-one. And then, Addison Williams is over here with this collection of guys. And so I think it really allows the people in that room, the guys, to think like, I'm getting good coaching no matter who's in front of me. I've got a wealth of experience. And so it does seem like they've got a good system in place of how they've divided that up. We'll see what it looks like in the season. But Addison Williams was definitely one of those guys I was interested in learning more about. And I feel like the last 3 weeks, just hearing from recruits, you get a sense of his personality and the way he connects. And it's a good start. So this is a nice win with Danny Odom. But I also think they've got the foundation set for some really good 27s and 28s. We talked about this last week. If you can take off this season, it all works together. It's a pretty nice cocktail.
BC, do you think the way they've structured this staff kind of tells you anything about the way they view the defense in terms of having the 3 former defensive back coaches and 3 former defensive coordinators or current defensive coordinators kind of on that side of the ball? Or does it sort of just even out the fact that you've got a D-line coach, an edge coach, and a linebackers coach on the front 7?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think you're always looking for in each individual situation who best fits that, and then you want to hope it's going to connect together well, but you maybe don't know necessarily until you actually get out there, like how all those coaching pieces mesh. But they've really got a nice combination, I guess, is what I would say, of and Phil Simpson was upfront about this. You've got younger coaches like him with their opportunity, like him and Terry Braden, who are hungry. And not that the other guys aren't, but it's that like early hunger in your career. Like, I want to prove it. Let's develop these guys. Let's get everything out of them. And then you do have those guys who have had like coordinator titles or that experience in their background. And you have the Dvorak piece where he's been around Rhule longer than anybody and knows him so well. And so you check all these different boxes along the way, really, when you think about it, with coaches of all different levels and how they can feed off each other and maybe help somebody in an area where they need to strengthen their game as a coach. And so I always think that's a good thing. And I always say this, one of the things that sticks out to me about the coaching fraternity is generally how they respect the titles within the room. No matter what title they've held 5 or 10 years ago, there's a real honoring of like the hierarchy of what the setup is at that time. Like it with on the offensive side, when Satterfield goes to the tight ends, there's that respectful nature of like, this guy's in charge now, we answer to him. And I do think that's something in the coaching community that is pretty nice, that you see a lot where guys say, this is my role, I'm going to do it the best I can. I was this at one point in my career, now I'm this, but I'm going to just do what's in front of me and what my job is and learn from this guy while I'm doing it. And if you can get those type of minds in your building, that's huge. And it seems like they've got that.
It's just interesting when you look at the ages to hear you talk about young and hungry. And, even a guy like Dvorak, who I think is 7 of his 9 coaching seasons, he's been with Coach Rhule.
Uh-huh.
You think we realize that Dvorak's only 31?
I was going to say he can't be more than about 30. Yeah.
He's barely 30. He was one of the 24/7 Sports 30 under 30s like 2 years ago.
Right.
So I think it's
And the only
29.
reason I know that is because he's a fellow Pisces. He's a March birthday, so we're kind of kindred spirits. He's 31.
Yeah.
I mean, Simpson is young. You know about Braden. It's just a unique kind of blend, but I like it because I'd kind of give it the example of our radio broadcast team where we're trying to put together the pieces of the pie, and not everybody can be the flour, not everybody can be the sugar, not everybody can be the filling, right? Like a good pie has multiple ingredients to make it in its totality. And when I think of the defense, I just think margin of error where you have checks and balances. If you need to make in-game adjustments or you don't like the game plan ahead of time, you have a couple of guys that you can bounce ideas off of. You can get different perspectives. You can, if a guy's locked, like sometimes, like during the course of it, I know people don't think this happens, but the reality of it is sometimes you just get locked as a coach where you're either in one thing too long or you're not seeing what's happening to you quickly enough because of maybe some other variables. Like when you have other eyes and capable minds to help you out, you can just think clear and you're a lot more free to do what you do, right? I look at it as, it sounds negative, but it's just built-in margin of error.
Yeah. You have guys that I think can correct in game at a high level, have proven it, and the type of voices that another coach would respect if they come to him with something. So you hope that happens. I mean, I'm as interested in. I feel like we probably talk more in the offseason a little bit about the offense with obviously with Holgerson and Rhule and all that, but I'm just intrigued with this defense's change-ups they have, because I know they've got some tweaks in there, and I know they want to get better on third down. And if you look at like their third down numbers, it wasn't terrible last year, but they see that they can climb a couple percentage points there. If you look at their red zone defense, I was putting this number down. They're 103rd in red zone defense if you go by touchdown percentage, like when teams got in the end zone there. And so in those specific areas, I think there's been such a focus and attention to specifics where they can do something that they didn't do last year, or they can add to the equation. And I'm pretty fascinated when we get to Arrowhead to see what those type of what they've come up with in the lab, basically.
Hey, listen, how about this though, BC? If you tweak the red zone touchdown percentages, is 2 or 3 percentage points. You were talking about a defense last year that was top 20 in scoring defense, giving up 18.5 points a game. Just think about how the bulk of those would happen when opponents convert the red zone scoring opportunities into touchdowns. Like, you've got plenty of room for growth, and you were pretty good a year ago. I mean, 18.5 a game last year, BC, with those being ranked 103rd with advanced touchdowns given up inside the red zone statistics.
Right. And like the Indiana game obviously skewed that. It was a bad day with that. I think Illinois, I think of as a game where there were opportunities to get a stop like inside the 10-yard line, and they just couldn't come up with it. It's an interesting discussion. What you're saying, like in the Pinstripe Bowl, and this was John Butler's obviously, debut as the DC. Nebraska was really good there. Like had a goal line stand in that game. Had another stop near the end of the first half. You'll remember, like inside the 15-yard line, and so that ends up being the difference. So they're kind of 1-0 in that stat under John Butler as far as how they performed in the deep red. So we'll see if they can do that. But I do like the fact, kind of to your point, that the numbers were pretty good on the surface with the defense. But when you hear them talk about it, it's like, what has to happen to be a CFP team? What's the difference between, that's good, we'll acknowledge that was solid, but what is needed to be a team that takes the football away 24 times as opposed to 17, where you're top 25 in takeaways? I'm kind of waiting for that type of thing as far as when we talk about the evolution of this defense. And I think that's kind of what they're thinking about too, as you hear about third down defense and what they're going to throw at QBs and all that stuff. More confusion and chaos on those downs, and ultimately you hope that leads to some panic plays and some plays you take advantage of on defense for interceptions or forced fumbles.
So, BC, what I like about kind of the minutia of this conversation is I think a lot of times people, and I know for a fact, people will talk about, well, Nebraska can't get over the hump and it's just not going to happen and all these things and whatever. But I like the fact that there are actual tangible things that we can point to and say, this is why it didn't happen, right? The red zone,
it's not even monumental.
No, it's like it's margins, right? There's a reason it feels like they're so close and they haven't been able to get over the top, right? The red zone scoring defense needs to be better, right? The red zone scoring offense needs to be better. The third down defense needs to be better. The third down offense there's very tangible things. It's not some mystery. It's not some boogeyman or whatever where it feels like Nebraska's cursed or, we've heard Coach Rhule talk about this. Like, it's no curse or whatever. You just have to be better at football.
Right.
I like that there's actual things that we can point to and say, hey, these are the things he's talking about. He's not just saying this because he doesn't want to give into some unseen, intangible force. There are things that you can reach out and touch and fix that will make Nebraska better at football this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at yards per attempt allowed in the passing defense, I think it was 7.4 last year. I was doing some of these numbers the other day, so I wrote them down. That was 81st. I mean, they could take that down a good notch.
Just get to 50. Right, get top 50 in the country.
And you can attest to this, BC, if you remember how the rankings go. I'm going to guess, just because I've glanced at this before, that if you go from 7-4 to 6-8, that's like going from 81st to 51st.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's a little bit. It's just a little bit.
7-4 to 6-8 is probably 30 spots.
That's making what? That's letting somebody break one fewer tackles per game?
Yeah.
Basically.
Or not even that. It's getting off the field one less time on a third long.
Giving up one fewer
because
then
you don't
conversion.
let the opportunities matriculate.
Yeah.
Just get off the field.
Yeah. And I feel like they've done better the last couple of years with this, but one of the big things too is connecting clutch defense with great special teams when you have it. And there were years when Nebraska really scuffled, when they would actually occasionally pin a team deep and then they would let them off the hook. And so that would actually be a fun deep dive to get into, like, the teams who are best at when you have someone pinned inside their own 5 or 10 yard line, get 3 and outs in those situations. And don't.
What leads the country?
Yeah. What's that?
That I bet Iowa leads the country.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why it's on my brain so much, because you see it right next door. A team that does a lot that makes you shake your head. They're like, what's up with that offense? But when they do that so well, it kind of makes up for it. And
they look at it as an opportunity and not a hindrance.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of it is their mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then once they do that, the offense only has to get 20 yards before they're in field goal range. And all of a sudden you have a bad offense that just got points.
So I think that's a big topic, though, as you look at Mike Eckler coming aboard. And obviously you got a new punter, so you got to figure that out in a certain way. But his stats at Tennessee that jump out as much as anything, where they led the country the last 4 years in pinning teams inside the 10-yard line. They're just really good at it. And if they can get that going, and then John Butler's defense has that clutch gene, when you have them backed up, I mean, that's what we're talking about, winning 2 more games right there. That sort of that moment where you have that scenario over 5 minutes of action where you pinned them on the 3, you got a 3 and out, you get the ball on the 35-yard line, you take it in. That's winning in the Big Ten, and so that's the combination you need.
BC, if you had to come up with your top 5 in terms of rankings, because obviously with such key games in the first handful of weeks, the number 1 ranking is obviously going to come out of Texas and Ohio State, but after that, if you had to come up with a top 5 today, how fluid or how disjointed do you think it would be after the first 4 or 5 weeks? Do you feel good that it would be solid, or are you like, I don't know, man, I could see multiple things happening to shake this up? Then I got to follow up.
No, I think it's going to bounce around a lot more this year. Your shows during the off season, I'm not sucking up, but it's made me think about it, have done a good job of laying out, especially with us talking about all like younger, like sophomore type quarterbacks and what they're going to do. Are they going to take that leap? Who's going to take the biggest leap? I think it's opened the door so wide this year in college football for anything to happen. It's like, there's still those 2 or 3 teams you're going to say their names first. But I think there have been seasons when it's felt like, okay, there's like 6 to 8 teams, and then there's 9 through 35, put them in a blender. Now it's 2 or 3 teams, and I don't even feel that confident in them.
And there's not really a gap.
So
the gap between the 2 and 3.
So
right?
does Penn State seem daunting?
So I was just going to bring that up, right? Because think about the teams with returning quarterbacks that we think have a talent level to be championship level people. And basically the list is Penn State and Clemson.
I would probably make Clemson number 1.
Am I missing a team with like a returning quarterback who we know the production of?
It just depends on how you feel about LSU.
I don't put LSU in that category.
Okay.
I don't think, I mean, maybe it's a Brian Kelly thing. But I think
which is weird. He's a 2-time coach of the year, but he may have peaked.
I was like, it hasn't gone well at LSU yet.
Isn't Penn State the perfect example? They're a really good football team. They should be like up there top 3 or whatever to start.
Don't scare you though.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're really good, but they're not like that Ohio State team that came into Lincoln when it was like college game day, whatever year that was. I mean, there's certain teams where you just like look at them and you're like, that's okay.
Like when I see Penn State on Nebraska schedule, I go, okay, that's probably a loss, but I don't look at it the way I did when Ohio State was on the schedule last year. And I go, oh God, please don't get killed.
You look at it as let's take our punch kind of game.
Yeah. I look at it like the Ohio State game last year actually played out. Like that feels like it's on the table for Penn State this year, but that's my expectation going in rather than, oh, please don't murder us on national TV.
Right. They're the perfect example of this college football season. They're one of the top teams, but you're like, well, we'll see. Can they back that up? They could slip and fall. The thing that they've done so well, which brings Nebraska into the conversation, is they've handled their business with everybody that's not, the other big 2 in the conference as far as they're concerned. And so, that's where someone else is going to have to break through, and Nebraska gets that shot.
BC, let me get last one from me. If in fact we've kind of arrived at this, and I appreciate the sentiment, because I think the main goals when we started this whole quarterback thing and who we believe in and who we would draft way back when for these summer months was not to provide hope to Nebraska fans necessarily as much as why not?
Yeah. Context.
Right? It just needed context. And so we kind of worked backwards to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So as this has gone on over the last handful of months, why do you think we've gotten away from the Illinois, the Iowas, the teams where we think we know what we're getting and slot them into the volatility versus erring towards the side of the high-end teams because it's just always how it's been? Like, why do you think we still move towards the teams with more variables than the teams that feel like we know what we're like? Why don't we just pencil Iowa in for 8 and see where that stands, or Illinois based on what we know last year? Because we're doing it with Penn State.
Yeah, that's interesting. There are intriguing variables within the team sort of that you mentioned within the Big Ten. Like most years, I actually do kind of pencil Iowa in for that 8 or 9, but I look at their schedule this year and I say, I don't know, that's pretty tough. They have a tougher draw than they usually get. And I know there's a knock or there's a feeling around here Iowa gets off the hook with scheduling somehow, but that's not the case this year, I don't think. And so that that makes it them interesting, like what they do with that. Illinois, it's sort of like I think they've got something working with Belima there, but now can you back up what you did last season? And then Nebraska, I think, is that team that you can see how it can happen for them for sure, but people just are like, I don't know that I can commit to that yet. Like, I got to see it, sort of thing. And that's outside our bubble too. It's that you have people who do these things all summer, every year. And for the past 5 to 10 years, maybe several of those years, they've had Nebraska like as their dark horse or ranked 22nd, and they got burned by it. So they're not looking at this specific Husker team and what they're capable of, more so as they're just thinking about their past beefs with Nebraska teams that failed them in the past, that didn't get to what they thought could be. And so I think that's some of the summer dialogue and why it is the way it is. But it is a cool college football season in the sense that the door isn't just cracked open for teams to make the CFP. I think it's half open at least for third. I don't know. I think there's like 25, 30 type teams that could make a run at it when it's all said and done. I think there's that kind of parity.
That's our guy, Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Great stuff.
Always
as
good, BC.
Always, BC. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
And if you appreciate having some options as well, make sure you get over to Centrist Federal Credit Union. Getting an auto loan doesn't have to be stressful. They've been consistently voted the best of Omaha for auto financing, and they're here to help you get into a new ride, help you navigate and get into the right auto loan with competitive rates and pre-approvals. Get your application started today, centristfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
Shane, to give Kevin his time before JC, do you want to just go right to him?
Yeah, let's hop right into Kevin here. Because
8:32.
Yeah, we're going back to back here. Got our guy Kevin Sjuts.
Lot of me sitting.
Gotta. Well, just think about it this way. You sat while we did the whole 1 hour first segment, so it's about the same thing, even though it feels different because we got multiple guests, right?
Says the glove up to the armpit guy.
I'm trying to give you content. I'm trying to help. I'm always
a lot of things, but
I'm always trying to help you.
A helper isn't one of them.
I'm always trying to help you.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, with the helping hand.
I'm here, yeah, with the helping hand, with the glove on up to the shoulder.
That's cute.
That's what I'm here for. You don't think so?
No.
We out here, right?
Yeah, you're pretty out there.
I said that it was kind of a wink to the show. I was out at the CWS talking to some LSU fans and went to them, and they're like, "Well, we're out here, right?"
And that clearly was where the LSU magic happened.
We've got our guy Kevin Sjuts here from 1011 News in Lincoln. Kevin, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning. Happy post CWS to you guys, even though I love the conversation still going strong.
Yeah. Were you you seem super rational, so I'm almost like teeing this up for you, but real time, did you have an opinion on right or wrong between Campos and Schnall?
Okay.
Oh, he's a baseball guy too, so this is good.
So I knew I would be
the pause.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm asking the right guy. I'm asking the
All
right
right,
guy.
let her rip, Kevin.
Let's go a little preface here. I'm a huge Kevin Schnall guy.
Okay.
As is Ravi.
He is like dagger in the eyes. Don't mess with me. Did you guys even catch where like he tried to crack a little joke in the press conference and nobody laughed?
Yeah. Because it's his
intimidated by
so
it.
intense.
It's his delivery. It's like you almost need permission to laugh.
Yeah, it's like you need him to like kind of chuckle a little bit, and then you can start laughing.
Yeah, so like he's got this tough edge and like don't mess with me aura about him, which I respect, and I think that that's one of the reasons that Coastal, it has become such a great program, and sometimes an underrated program. So I'll start with that. That I'm going to be on Kevin Schnall's side on this entire thing, and I'm also going to give context that I was running around on Sunday. I was not at the game. I was listening on the radio because we had some other obligations as a family. So I'm listening to the Kevin Kugler description of the entire sequence.
The goat.
And it wasn't until right after they had to watch the video. So, Cougs played it right down the middle. He was just trying to give the information and paint the picture. And the whole time as it unfolded, I was like, what in the world? And if you don't see it, so you don't really know about the umpire tripping or / getting pushed.
Yeah.
And you have to then see it because in real time on the radio, it's just a matter of coach got run in the first inning in the national championship, and you can hear the 25, 30,000 fans like over the Nat mic just being so insanely loud. So it's a completely different perspective of the whole sequence when you don't see it and you hear it. And then going back and watching it, like I said, I'm on team Kevin Schnall on this. I thought the ejection was ridiculous. I thought that the umpires needed to be a little bit more aware of the stakes in the situation. I get trying to make a point. And sometimes an official, an umpire, a referee needs to draw the line. But with a national championship being at stake, and as Schnall described, if he didn't hear the warning, I understand that. So it's kind of a quick hook on a big stage, and I think it was a little bit unfair. And you can't tell me that sequence of events had a pretty big impact on the outcome of the game.
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, I would consider you from our conversations here like a reasonably big baseball purist. I weirdly consider myself a little bit of a baseball purist, but in a different way. Like I like the game itself. I don't like a lot of the
gamesmanship.
Yeah, a lot of the things that go around it. Like I want the game to be played at a high level, and I want to watch that. So when I see one of the things that go on around it a lot, which seems to be the umpires' egos interfere with the actual game itself. Some people are like, oh, well, that's just baseball. DB and I have had this conversation for weeks now talking about the differences between like baseball and softball and how they operate within the game. And it's like, oh, that's just softball versus that's just baseball. I want the game to be played at a high level. And it seems like some of these that's just baseball things like, oh, well, you don't argue balls and strikes. Well,
And that's like the only thing you can't argue. It's like this super secret
that's what I mean.
Gentleman's code,
like all
right?
these unwritten rules and stuff,
Yeah.
although that one is technically written in the NCAA rule book, which is ridiculous, right? Like his strike zone was terrible, objectively terrible. I don't know what to tell you. It was brutal. And so I don't think it's out of line for him to be like, hey, I'm out here because you've missed 3 and we're still in the first inning here. Like that to me is the nicest possible way to tell the umpire to pull his head out, but somehow that's the thing that gets you run. Like that, I really
Kevin,
struggle with that.
Do you think it's because it happens every pitch? And so it's just become like, okay, we'd be arguing all day. Balls and strikes, it happens every second. Leave it alone. You think that has something to do with it?
A little bit. I think the whole thing just gets us closer and closer to, some sort of technology determining balls and strikes. Because if you watch and follow Major League Baseball, you see all the umpire reports on social media right after.
Oh, yeah.
Who missed 28 the other day? Somebody missed 28 calls the other day.
Yeah.
Ball strike calls. I was just like, oh, God.
There is technology out there that basically says what a right and a wrong call is. So why don't we just have that technology determine in the game what's right and wrong? And, with what the minor league system is doing now, we're getting closer and closer to that actually being real. And so now you have situations like Sunday at the College World Series with a big stakes game where, if you argue that ego got in the way, well, you can remove the ego by just taking the person off the field and you can go straight to the technology. So I just think this is another instance in which, whatever the future holds for, making correct calls in a baseball game, it's probably just going to step-by-step go there. I don't think that umpires will fully be removed from a baseball field. But in terms of balls and strikes, and Ravi, to your point, there's just a sensitivity with a balls and strikes situation in baseball because, as we've discussed before, and you guys have talked to so many other guests about, baseball is a sport in which sometimes if a call is wrong and an inning or an at-bat gets extended, there seems to be a situation that pays that back.
All
like,
these other things
oh my
happen.
goodness, if that would have been strike 3, then we wouldn't have been here. Then the double down the line wouldn't have happened, which would have scored the go-ahead run. So that's where there's a sensitivity because if you miss multiple, that means you're really kind of
you're changing the fabric of the game.
Clock. Yeah, it just changes everything. So if Schnall argues that there were 3 misses, and I think based on the technology that there were actually 4 prior to his ejection,
it's worth arguing over.
Yeah, exactly right. Because if this is going to continue, Coastal has a tough hill to climb.
Yeah. Kevin, last one for me. Let me get you out in this, Kevin. With what's going on with the wrestling program and AJ Ferrari, and there's some guys on the open market that are interested in Nebraska. We know what's going on with how DBK is recruiting at a high level right now. We've seen Nebraska football. Still waiting on baseball, even though it's pretty fluid sport, man. Which of the major sports do you think going forward with the settlement hearing will be the most difficult to navigate as a coach?
Well, baseball is going to be challenging just because the scholarships went from 11 and a fraction to
what,
the
14?
Entire roster.
Yeah.
Like what? And that target could still continue to move too. Who knows? It seems like baseball is just on such unsettled water. It's like you're riding on a boat out in the middle of the ocean, and one gust of wind takes you north, and then the next gust of wind takes you south. It is constantly moving around. So the coaching staffs, they don't even know what it looks like next year and the year following. But which one's going to benefit the most?
Be the most difficult to navigate? Because I would say baseball.
Most difficult to navigate is going to be baseball without question, because it's been the most difficult to navigate for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
The easiest to navigate is going to be volleyball, because they are going to continue to recruit itself, because you have a passionate fan base, an elite program contending for championships. And, as they've proven over the past X number of years, they replace all-stars with all-stars. And I love the fact that you just dropped in the wrestling program. I ran into Mark Manning last night, and
we're gonna grab him this week.
That dude's just constantly full of energy, and so it's not like, ooh, he's coming off a great season, one of his best ever, and he's got this, wind in his tail. No, he's always like that. Like Coach Manning just got the pep in the step and the smile on his face, and just this endless energy. And they're hosting a camp over at the Devaney Center, and they're inside the track, and it's not a track right now. It's wrestling mat after wrestling mat, and there are teams competing at Nebraska's team wrestling camp from, like, I don't know how many states. You guys should ask them later this week. I would guess 12 to 15 different states are coming to Nebraska to compete at this camp. And there's Manning off in the corner,
100%.
shaking hands and pumping up dudes and just watching wrestling. So I'm so excited for his program, and he's just a pleasure to be around, and love the fact that, he's got a little more wiggle room now with what he can offer wrestlers. And so the trajectory of that program, it was already high, and now the needle just moved a little bit further north.
Kevin, appreciate the time as always. Great stuff. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
That's our friend Kevin Sjuts from 1011 News in Lincoln, and we're going back to back to back right here. We've got our friend Jessica Coody from the Husker Radio Network. Jess, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks. You guys are cramming them in here today.
We're just trying to be efficient for once in our lives.
Ravi, you gonna make me cry again today?
I'm going to do my
I
best.
I didn't really get into that.
I'm going to do my best not to. Maybe happy tears with your Thunder, your champs?
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay, there we go. Repping the Thunder. I like it.
How's your brother doing? Is he alive and kicking?
I probably should text him to see how he's doing today. He went to the parade yesterday, and it was bonkers. And so I heard from him at like 7 a.m. He was getting started, and then at like 1, and then I hadn't heard from him, so I probably should do a follow-up with him.
What? Okay, so he had to be mobile. What's the drink of choice at 7 a.m. and during a parade? Is he just going with beers, or what's that look like?
Oh, his breakfast was a cranberry and vodka.
Classy. It's classy.
Bless his heart. Although, why waste your time with cranberry juice? I guess you do have to protect the liver.
He did. He switched over to, like, I think Michelob and Twisted Tea at one point. And I sent the photo to our former producer, Andrew Dowdy, your boy. And he said, I knew we were long lost brothers with him drinking a Twisted Tea.
Why am I not surprised Drew Down drinks Twisted Teas? He's a Duke fan. Wow. All right. So at what point do you think the camera crew, did you see SGA on Good Morning America?
Yeah, I did. Well, first, let me first admit, I was not up that early, so I didn't see it when he was on live. But after you called me and was saying like, he whatever, and so I went back. He just seemed really tired to me. I mean, he probably slept 30 minutes, so he just looked tired to me. Is all.
Is that what you're going with?
That's what I thought, anyways. Now I can't speak those guys were on a whole nother level during the parade. You could see by their speeches and how they were acting. And Caruso, I mean, if you met that guy in the street, would you know he played basketball? I mean, he's walking around shirtless. It's
His
like
uncle teaches at my former high school, so he is he's legendary. Let's put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and they're building his statue, I think, outside of the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. They love him down there, but it's just, the way that they went, it's just, I think you saw a little bit of their youthfulness yesterday and kind of letting go after kind of a pressure situation. And it was fun to see, but there was a lot of layers to it, and not to, completely turn serious, but you saw the photo of the caravan in front of the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. And, I saw several stories of people going to visit they have like this place where they have chairs set up for the people that passed away. And there's this family that gave one of their shirts that they got, from being in the arena, and wrote on it like, "Dad, you would have loved this team." And so I think people forget how much the Thunder mean to Oklahoma City beyond just being a basketball team, but the positive, all the positive that they brought when they came, and they've been, I know that the organization takes the team every year to visit the bombing memorial. And so, there's a lot of layers to it beyond just, hey, we win a title. But I know it meant a lot to the people in the state of Oklahoma.
I do think there's kind of a correlation, not everything has to come back to Nebraska here, but I do think there is kind of a correlation between places like Oklahoma City or Indiana, to be fair, is very similar, where that particular team means so much to the place it's from. And I do think you get that a lot, obviously, with Nebraska as well. And so I was really, I know I told you last week I was rooting for Indiana, and I was, because I love Tyrese Halliburton, but I was really okay with either of these teams winning a title, because you could kind of tell how much it was going to mean to their communities, just because that's really, I mean, I know Oklahoma has their colleges and stuff like that, but in terms of professional sports, there's really not much else there. And you do get a sense that this is a team that means a lot to that franchise, or that city, especially when you go back to the KD, Russ, and Harden days, and how much they loved those teams, and they didn't really break through then. Like, there was a part of me that was happy for the city.
Yeah, and I actually said that too when I went to the Western Conference Finals, about just comparing a little bit the fan base, because while I don't compare it at all in terms of the support for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, with the Thunder, it's a fan base that shows up, rain, shine. They're going to be there. They're going to cheer. You heard a lot of the players, or some of the players that were there when they won 24 games, back in 2021, and it was packed. But that's how it's been from the start. And in fact, it was kind of brought up throughout the course of when the Thunder got there, how much attendance fell for the college teams. And so, it has been one of the most well-attended arenas, and not just people showing up. They're loud. They wear their shirts, so it is a dedicated fan base for that team. And there's a lot behind it, but I did compare it a little bit just in the passion behind the Thunder to what you see a little bit here. But it's special, and it does. It meant a lot to the city. And, I go back to when Kevin Durant left us high and dry, and how like desperate everybody felt after that. And like, oh no, are we ever going to get back? And you kind of wondered, but then Sam Presti was working his wizard ways to set up for these years, and so that now they're set up for several years to come. But it dipped for a while, and you kind of wondered, were they ever going to be able to compete? And then now they're set up for another run next year. And then the way that he's got his assets, we'll see what he does with the picks tonight. Sounds like they might be targeting a trade to move up in the draft, but there's just they got a lot of options still to continue to prepare for the future if they had another situation where they had a star player leave in the way that Kevin Durant did. Back, which we don't speak of. I saw a funny graphic the other day. He's completed the rainbow on jerseys. He's basically gotten 8 different jersey colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple.
Wow. All right,
funny.
Jess, we've got
And I agree with you, Ravi, and both of you guys. I don't think he's a top 40 player either.
Jess Shams Coody joining us from the Husker Radio Network with her NBA takes. Love it. All right, we got Kyle coming up in just a few minutes. You've probably seen this thing start to finish. Oh, yeah, more than anybody. From the initials to the filtering to the finals. How excited are you that we've got Casey in the fold now?
Yeah, I'm really excited, and it was a long process. It was, and it was hard. I mean, I talked about that the last time I was on. It was hard, but I think Kyle was. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say after his first interview, the few of us on the committee were like, "That's our guy." You know, he was so impressive from the start, and the research that he had done. And people want to talk about, oh, he doesn't understand Nebraska. He will. I think he already does, but he will work night and day to make sure that he knows what he needs to know to be successful in this role. He's going to, work his tail off to be prepared, but not just for what he's going to bring on the air, but what he represents when he's in the community. Being able to have those conversations with folks, whether it's somebody calling into the show or he's running into somebody in the Haymarket, so I think that he understood in a way that I don't think most outsiders do what the situation was, and not just the state of Nebraska and this program and the sports and what it means, but also the situation at hand with what he's stepping into and the shoes that he's filling and the legacy that is Greg Sharp. I mean, that was from the beginning, the way he made note of and the way he spoke of and the understanding of Greg and what Greg meant to all of us, but to this radio network, to the people that listen. And so he understood that from the start in ways that not everybody did, but then, also didn't shy away from that either, and I think that it was just a balance of, okay, this guy gets it, but then also has listened to so many hours of what we do. And he knows that we have one of the best broadcasts in all of college football, all of college sports, just with what we do night in and night out with covering all of our different teams. And so he was excited to be able to be a part of that and elevate it in the ways that he can, but not come in and, hey, this is my show. And so I know, DB, you've talked about this, but we knew that he'd be a team guy and fit into what we already have in place, which is a lot. But then be able to challenge us and bring ideas and tweak things. And he's all about doing the social media thing and maybe potentially doing some cameras in the booth. I know you're excited about, but there, just some things that you want.
I was trying to get away from the whole GoPro idea and all that other stuff.
Being on camera is DB's favorite.
Yeah,
he's gonna love that.
She knows, believe me.
So I think just all the boxes that we were looking for, Kyle checked from the start, and so I was really excited. And I said this in my post. I know that people might be thinking, might have their reservations, whatever, but if you give him a chance, I know Husker Nation is going to love this guy, and he is going to call a killer football game. There's no doubt in my mind.
Jess, so you brought up something there that I is one of the main things I've seen, right? When the announcement comes out, you go like, oh, he's an outsider. He's not from Nebraska. Don't ask her.
Careful.
So no, I'm curious.
I'm an outsider too, by the way.
Get him, Jess.
Well, so that's kind of where I'm going. So obviously you weren't from here. Greg wasn't from here. Like a lot of these guys, Coach Rhule's not from here. People forget all of a sudden. But how much, I guess, were you aware of that as you're going through the process? I know you were in it like way earlier than DB was even, but like I've always said, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody, the difference between Scott Frost and Matt Rhule for me was Scott Frost was from here. Matt Rhule feels like he's from here, right? and so, like, I guess how much were you aware of that as you're going through this process because of how much this position does mean to the people of the state of Nebraska?
1,000%. We had to think about somebody that could fit in here and not just call a good football game. We had applicants. I mean, heard it over and over again, hundreds of people that sounded incredible on the air, but it was more than that. It is a total package type of deal that you do. And I never want to leave here, and I'm not from here, And so I think that's where if people will give people a chance, that even though it's a pretty great place, if you didn't know, and so even though you're an outsider, you can fall in love with being here and what is at place here. And, the opportunities that to be embedded at this athletics department, there's nothing like it. And I think we've said this a lot too. You might not fully understand it. You think you understand it. I mean, I even have said that, like, I thought I understood it till I got here, but you learn quickly, and you learn what people want and how you can adapt and what you can bring to the table that people will like. And so I felt all along that, he might not be from the state of Nebraska, but this is a guy that's going to come in and fit in like the rest of us outsiders have too. I guess because I'm not from here, I don't love that argument as much, or that sentiment as much as maybe other people do. But because I think you can, just because you're not from here doesn't mean you can't find a love and understanding for it in the way that people have growing up here. I mean, I'm testament to that. And so I didn't think it was, maybe because I was in a different role, I wasn't the voice of the Huskers, but I didn't think it was one of those things where it didn't take long for me to feel like I was not an outsider. So I hope it's the case for Kyle. And I think he will do a really good job of just getting, going all in and getting acclimated and fit. He will fit in, and he will fall in love with this place just like the rest of us have, and we'll find a home here. I mean, he said it multiple times. This is what he hopes to be his last job of his career, what he's worked for his entire career to get to and stay at for the rest of it. And so there's no doubt in my mind, but yes, that was a very important part of it is, it wasn't just what you can call how you sound on the radio. You got to be able to be a fit with our radio team, with what the state of Nebraska needs, how you represent when you're off the air. There are a lot of things to it. I mean, obviously it's a big job, and I think we got a guy that checked every single box.
I was like Jerry Maguire coming home to people talking. Like, he had me at, I used to draw plays up for the Colts during the Steelers game on what they should run on scratch paper. And I was like, wait, you did what? Oh, okay. You're in. You like to draw football plays. Had me at hello, Kyle. Had me at hello. I'll get you out on this, JC. How cool is it that he gets to help us break in the new digs, which is, I mean, I am blown away. I hated wearing a hard hat and all that other good stuff, but man, that thing is going to be a monster. How cool is that we get to move together?
Yeah, DB's giving me a hard time about what I look like in a hard hat. I'm like, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? Nobody looks good in a hard hat. But yeah, it's going to be sweet. And I know they're going to have more information coming out. But the studio's awesome. There's going to be a podcast studio, but state of the art once again. And we're going to be all moving together, the content teams. And so I think another really big recruiting tool when you already talk about the facilities that nobody else can match. Then when this day and age, when you're growing a brand and the things that student athletes want to be a part of and utilize on social media, doing podcasts, whatever it might be, we're going to be able to also provide that for them. And so there's a lot of cool things, but it's going to be a sweet setup. And I think July 7th, we'll be back on the air live, and we'll be in the new set. And that's also Kyle's first day. So a lot of fun things ahead here in the next couple of weeks for the Huskers Radio Network.
That's Jessica Coody, Husker Radio Network.
You ambassador, you.
Appreciate your time so much. Thanks for joining us as always, and congrats on the NBA title.
Thank you. Thanks, appreciate
it. Go check on your brother. Make sure he's okay.
All right, bye guys.
Close too. They're close.
Do we want to take like 30 seconds real quick, or you just want to go right to it?
Yeah, tell KC we'll get to him here in a second.
We'll take like a minute here real quick so the DB can stand up and walk around for a minute. That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street, with a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Here with Jet Tamala, the newest Alabama commit. That sounds a little different, right?
Yeah, yes sir, it does.
Why Alabama?
I mean, I just felt the trust and support from their coaching staff, even while I was committed to Iowa State. I mean, I have all good things to say about them too, with everything I went through with them, and it really came down to the wire. And then, I mean, just the opportunity I had. My goal and dream is to go to the NFL, and I felt like Alabama's the place that could do the best for me.
You brought up the Iowa State thing. Obviously, it was a tough decision because of the connection that you had made with Iowa State. And you're a pretty loyal guy when it comes to just everything in life. So, how hard was that conversation?
I mean, we had such a good relationship that, I mean, it wasn't too hard. They kind of understood. There wasn't no hard feelings. So, kind of just told me good luck, and it really wasn't easy, like, to say it all. It was pretty tough for me, but I got through it, and really excited about it.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Troy Dannon, hear him talk about how special this role is and what Greg had meant in the year that he got a chance to know him. You know, doing the research, Jessica, you look at the consecutive streak of sellouts, no matter what the record is, no matter what Nebraska football might be going through at any point in time, people come from every area of the Nebraska state and surrounding states to watch Husker football.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by your brand new play-by-play voice for Nebraska football, Kyle Crooks. Kyle, how are you this morning?
You guys get up so early in the morning to do this every single day. You guys, that alone, I have such a respect for people who do morning shows and morning radio because it is such a crazy schedule. It's unlike any schedule that anybody has to endure. So kudos to you guys for doing this show and getting up early every morning.
Casey, as much homework as you apparently did and as well prepared as you were, I don't know when you sleep either, unless you're just playing it off, because that Rolodex was about as impressive as it gets, man. Are you ready to tell me how the sausage was made, man? How'd you learn so much so fast?
Yeah, so it's one of those things, like, I haven't had a social life probably. I'm working on being getting that social life and going out to places. For me, it was a lot of nights of staying in and listening to games on the radio. And I've told this story. I grew up listening to the New York Yankees on radio, watching the New Jersey Nets. And that's where I got my sort of watching Iron Eagle every single night, Iron Eagle and Bill Raftery. And then on Yankee games, listening to John Sterling. There's so many great announcers here in the New York area, but from a young age, I sort of knew that this is what I wanted to do. At first, guys, I wanted to be like you guys, sports talk radio hosts. I would listen to sports talk radio, guys, 5.5 hours a day. Mike and the Mad Dog was on me after, and I was this kid in the summer that instead of going out and like playing, right, I would sit. They were simulcast on television, and I would sit and watch all 5.5 hours, and I would have earbuds in my ears for games, but also as I'm like in bed at 2 a.m. listening to overnight talk. And I'm like, is this normal for a 15-year-old to listen to like John in the Bronx call in at 3 a.m. and tell me why like they made the wrong managerial decision in a Yankee game?
When were you working on your golf game if you're like arms deep in sports talk radio? When were you swinging the sticks?
So the problem was I was a driving range king. I wasn't as good when I got out onto the course.
Yeah.
So I was really good in the driving range. Like I was like that show car that's out in the room. And then like, once I got out on the course and there's sand traps and like, there's like, you have to hit out of rough and things like that. That's when things started to go south. So I had, growing up, I had this Twister. I was called Twister, this driver that was like this big. And that's how I started playing golf. And I would rocket that thing straight as a young kid, like 200 yards. And then once I got a little bit bigger and the clubs got a little bit bigger, that ball started to go this way, started to go that way, and started to find sand and water. And I was on my high school golf team, and then my senior year, guys, I just like, man, this is pretty hard. And then mentally it gets to you. And once golf's in your head and it's got real estate in your brain, it's over. And I haven't played in a long, long time.
So Kyle obviously grew up on the East Coast, but
not far from Coach Rhule, actually.
DB gave me a little tidbit here. He said that Nebraska was your dream job. So you hear that a lot when people get new jobs. And listen, I'm a little bit of a skeptic by nature. So explain to me, you come from the East Coast, you're at Florida for the last 8 years. Like, when did Nebraska get on your radar, and how did that sort of become this job that you aspired to?
You know, it's one of those things coming up, and especially at Florida, you don't necessarily narrow in on one school. It's the idea of a school, right? Because Greg was here, and the hope was Greg was going to be here for a long, long time. It's just more of you want to get to a place that cares, and boy, they care and care about the radio product. Like, that's the thing that has tended to wane away here in the last, 5 to 10 years is everything's streaming. Everything is on linear television, right? The radio over time has not been in the forefront of fans' minds here over the last 10 years, but it is here. And that's the thing that draws me to a place like Nebraska. Every single sport matters. Yeah. People show up. People listen. I can tell from the interaction I've had, and avalanche is, I think, a good word to use of what has happened to my social media since the announcement on Monday.
Of all the things I warned you about, I forgot that.
Our GM, Jason DB, texted me yesterday, and he said, is this the attention and all that stuff? Is it everything you expected? I said, no, it's been more. It's been more. But here's the thing, too, is 95% of it for an outsider that is replacing a beloved guy and Greg, it's been positive, which to me is probably the most shocking part about it, because people are regimented. People love nostalgia. People love the same every year after year. And to see me come in, that's hard. That's really hard for people. It's really hard for a fan base. But everybody's been so welcoming. So the fact that the large portion of it has been positive, I think to me was pretty surprising, but it's pretty telling. So to answer your question, I mean, this is a place that when you go down the list of FBS schools and radio products, everybody I've talked to throughout this process that is a sitting voice somewhere else, where I've asked them about their impressions on Nebraska, they say they do more than anybody in the country. They care more about radio more than any other place in the country. So when this job popped open, a few months ago, it's one that you say, okay, this is a place that I can spend the rest of my life, hopefully, if Nebraska will have me.
So Kyle, you brought up Greg, and obviously I'm sure you thought about the circumstances under which you were both applying for and taking this job. How much did that come into your consideration as you were looking at this job and interviewing through this? Because obviously, as you mentioned, beloved figure, beloved man, and not just the booth, but the community as well. How much did you kind of weigh through, a lot of times it's hard to be the guy after the guy, right? How much did you think about that through this process?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest part of it, right? Mentioning, and that's been talked to a lot in the interview process of what you are stepping into. The reality of it is you don't really know until you know. Mm-hmm. You don't really know until you step into it and you put that headset on and you're going out and talking to people. And I told this story on Sports Nightly when I was driving in from Omaha to Lincoln, and DB had called me on that trip too, which I was very grateful for. And that's a conversation that I'll remember for a long time, sort of like a motivational pep talk going into the interview. And I was so grateful at the time for that. But the guy who was driving me, I was asking him if he was a Husker fan, and he was a season ticket holder, and immediately he went into listening to Greg on the radio, and specifically how he had never met Greg. And that's the interesting part of this job. I'd say 90% of the people that are on the other end of your voice, you'll never meet, but you have a connection to. And I think that was sort of the case with Greg, is he said that it was sitting next to somebody at the bar as he was calling the game. And I think DB could attest to this. It's a family atmosphere at the Husker radio network. Like I got that pretty early on. Like, you have to find a way to fit in and be yourself, but like be a team player. And everything that I had heard about Greg is, one thing about these jobs is most times you're liked or you're loved externally, right? Around the state, or, surrounding states, but internally is what tells me a lot. People in the athletic department, people at the radio network, people in the media. Troy Dannon, who had known Greg for about a year since getting the job, had told me, he lit up when he talked about Greg, and how he said it didn't matter who you were. You could be the custodian or this or that. He would take the time to talk to you and feel like you were the most important person in the room. And stepping into that role, there's a pressure to be able to live up to that and do that, because that's the ambassador part of this role that I think, from research and talking to people that Greg had done so well. It's going to be hard for fans and for everybody to hear a new voice. I get that. And, I know this, Greg's going to be the voice of the Huskers forever. His name is on that booth forever for a reason, not because he was the best at what he did, but because he was the best human being he possibly could be.
I told you he was smart. Anyway, there's three things. These guys, they know me really, really well. My personality is, I kind of wear it on my sleeve. I think you're getting a feel for that too. And I wanted to be a profiler, so I like understanding how people think and their mannerisms. So I'll take these one by one. One of the first things that I really, really liked is, I watched your body language after I was talking about, there's only been 5 in the last 50 years, and I went through the tenure of, each guy staying. And at no point did your body language change, or did you bat an eye at it? You basically talked about kind of how this is what you wanted to do and weren't afraid of longevity from a commitment's sake. You can't really prepare for those kinds of questions, but the answer in terms of what your long range goals was just seemed to roll right off the tongue. Is it because of the family atmosphere? Is that kind of how you're wound? You like the team aspect, the working within the team parameters framework of it? Like, what fits your personality that made that answer so seamless given kind of the history?
Yeah, you understand growing up what you're working for. Like, no matter the job in this, there's a good chance that you're replacing somebody who's been there for 30 or 40 years. I mean, you guys know it. Whether, the circumstances are what they are, most guys retire, they're on the job for 30 or 40 years. Like, you don't necessarily get to pick the opportunity that you get a chance to be a part of. Like, most cases, you're going to replace somebody who is beloved in the community. Same thing here at Florida. 4 years ago, they replaced a guy who was here for 33 years. Like, the jobs don't come open often, but you want to be able to circle a spot, going back to sort of that first question, that people are going to listen, and people are going to care, and people are going to be invested. You go through all those boxes, right? Nebraska, check, check, check. Like, everything gets checked off the list, and you understand, you go into all these jobs understanding the pressure. There is an inherent pressure that gets put on somebody in this role. Now, the good thing for me and over 15 years. Some people say, oh, you've been at this for 15 years. And Troy Dannon had said, you look like you're 24 years old. No, but I'm 34 and been at this for a long time. It's a job that I know for a fact I'll be passionate about for a very, very long time, for however long Nebraska will have me, but that I've trained for my entire life. Some things that people don't know about me, especially when it's come to football, right here at Florida. So I've been calling high school, Division III, Division II, and have stories of calling games on top of a press box when it's 30 degrees outside and you're outdoors and your throat's killing you and your teeth is chattering on the air and your notes are getting rained on and nobody's
That's right. Big window open guy. Be careful.
You better believe it. I can't wait till we go to Minnesota and that thing flies open and DB's in the corner shivering. And I'm just going to put it all over my social media and just shame him. But those windows, but at least my windows, DB, you can do what you want.
At least I know what stadium we'll be at this time. That's for sure.
Yes, I've heard that story, and I can't wait to hear that in even more depth.
No, we're good. We're good.
The wrong stadium. But I've been at this for a bit now, and I got to trust my training because, boy, I've put in a lot of work into this, and I've gone into that in depth in the interview process. But I've spent, outside of doing the national radio work that I've done and other levels, I've spent just about every home game here at Florida the last 8 years in a booth with an analyst, and we have an open air booth at Florida. So I have to scrape bird crap off the tables going on a Friday with sanitizing wipes and quite literally wipe down the booth so I could call the games with an analyst and set up my equipment. And I've been training and at this for a long time, waiting for an opportunity like this. And man, I can't be any more excited about it.
So the other one that was very interesting to me, and it's the one that I bragged about the most, and talking to the rest of the team on your flight, was you're very gifted and talented in terms of kind of being a one-man show. You know, the live mixing, the audio, the setup, the teardown. You've done a lot. Now you have folks in place that can take some of that load off your plate, yet you still want to be who you are. And I thought it was interesting how you didn't bat an eye at, because sometimes you get people that have been really successful doing something their own way for so long and have acquired a lot of skills to operate as kind of one-man bands or one-person bands because it's worked, where you seamlessly embraced, like, just stepping into the team, where I'm like, gosh, that's kind of some duality in his personality. Like, he's used to having to do a lot. Now you've got one of the best engineers, if not the best engineer in the country, right? Your producer, Josh, and you've got a spotter, you've got an analyst, where you'll have these things at your disposal, and you embraced it, right? You had all these ideas on how to continue to bring the team together. I thought that was very interesting from a guy that is used to shouldering so much of the load.
Yeah, I think it's important too, DB, like that I've experienced all of it, right? Like, I know the vantage point of a producer. I know the vantage point of, even on the television side, a director. I know what a spotter is going through, an engineer is going through. So, like, sometimes you get people in these positions that don't necessarily know all that goes into the engineering side. So when things go wrong, things get thrown around in the booth and people are screaming this, that, and the other, as opposed to trying to find solutions, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so important in the come up, if you will, is that, like, I've sort of gone through all the tech issues, and I've sat on the other end in the studio producing games, playing commercials, and learning the art of radio through that as well. I invite the fact that, I have a little help now and maybe can focus on certain areas of calling the game, as opposed to when this mic's too loud or that's off or that's like that can even make me better because it can focus me more on the games. But, I'm sure I'll help. I know Ben's kind of like the one-man band when it comes to some of that stuff, especially on the radio. So I look forward to like helping Ben out when it comes to the engineering side of it, along with being the producer and slinging the cards because there's so many ads, as well as being the spotter. Like when I tell you I admire I couldn't believe and I admire so much of what Ben's been doing on a game day, like to wear those many hats and still be able to like cheer and be into the game and like have his pre and post ready to go and all the stuff that he does. Like that's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool to hear.
I have a ton of respect for him, even as a captain and a good player. I was never a great player or our best player. So I always like teams, right? I like to be told what to do and what's the greater goal and this, that, and the other. And so I let him tell me what to do quite a bit. But I'm telling you, you will appreciate Josh Hilkeman more than his level of his ability to stay calm under duress with a lot going on. And, you know, I joked during the interview how well he can count backwards. And he never seems stressed. It's always going to be okay, man. Just the unique skill sets that the team kind of brings to the table, I think will really allow you to flourish. And it obviously starts with guys like Josh that are back where it actually matters at the hub as kind of the maestro, man. He's better than Beethoven, man. He knows how to bring that orchestra together.
Plays the right keys and all that. And I've had a chance to see the setup back there and just how
isn't that incredible?
It's crazy. And we'll have new digs coming up. I think they're going to officially open it on June 30th, and I'll be in there on July 7th. So I'm sure they're going to have some new things that they're going to have to work through for the new season. But yeah, there's so much behind the scenes, and again, it's such an awesome team.
Okay, Kyle. So I got to get to the really important stuff now. Number one, you mentioned Ben McLaughlin. I'm a huge fan. We talk to him every once in a while here. He does Husker baseball and stuff. Plus, we just like, chat with him. I heard that he was a little bit of a tough customer during the interview process. Was there any point where you were like, did I like hit on this guy's wife or something? Like, what happened here where Ben is just grilling me?
Yeah, so I've been warned that Ben is kind of a tough customer in certain regards. Like he wants to know certain things and whatever, but it was fine. Like it was all the questions, I guess, throughout the interview process. So, I've been so like we've had DB 5 rounds of interviews for this thing. So it's like, I just sort of like, okay, we're doing that. All right. Like, so let's lock in and let's do that. But like, he sent me a really nice text on Monday. I think this process probably has been as hard on him as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was best friends with Greg. Like this sucks for Ben, right? Like this is a really, really tough thing for him to have to go through. But he sent me a couple paragraphs of like, you're on the team now and I have your back. And DB has said the same thing. Jess has said the same thing. And that, to me, that means the world. Like, I know this is worst case scenario for everybody. Like Greg was the guy. He was the leader. And this is so hard for so many people. And I understand that. But like him sending me that text and understanding that's where he was coming from in the interview process, like, okay, great. But like, this is what's coming at, like, he was almost in a way looking after me. Like, you sure you want this, right?
That's him. That's totally him. Yeah.
This is what's coming for you. Like, we're going to have your back, but A, B, and C is coming for you. So just be ready. So it was almost like he was looking after me in a way when he was locking in, but it was funny. Yeah. It was like me and DB were talking about Colts football in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then Ben comes from the top rope with like, there's a lot of people that are going to hate your guts, right? Yeah.
That's about what he said. I love that dude. All right.
Hey, how do you deal with criticism? It was hard on Greg, and I was like, geez, man, he's going to leave.
Coming out the gates hot.
Yeah.
Okay, another one. So I know you talked about kind of on your way up and all the different things you've called or whatever. Every broadcaster I know has done some really strange jobs just to be on the air. Can you remember like the strangest thing you've called on your way up to this point in your career? I'll give you an example. Mine was during COVID, I did a charity live stream broadcast of something I'm sure you don't know about. It's called Cow Pie Bingo.
How do you even what's the prep look like for that? Do you practice a bingo?
You learn a lot about the cows. So Cow Pie Bingo is this is a very Nebraska Midwestern thing.
Okay.
You let the cows out of the pen after they've eaten, and then you quadrant off their little pen area, and wherever they take a dump, you win if you bet on the square that they took the dump on.
So you were doing play-by-play on dumps
of cows pooping.
And there goes
pen,
Bessie
basically.
to the northeast quadrant.
And I'm like,
making a
ooh.
move.
I'm like, oh,
to the 10.
I've got dogs, so that's really my only reference. I was like, okay, so we got one circling over there. That might be something. Let's keep an eye. Top right corner here. So that's my context for asking this question. What's the strangest thing you've ever called, Kyle?
Yeah, not cow dumps, gymnastics.
Yeah, that was a great story because you learn that on the fly. Gymnastics would be tough because it's not really. Oh, go ahead, you explain it.
Yeah, it's not traditional play-by-play, guys. It's like you're a traffic cop. So what I've done is I've done quad meets, right? So, and I think I did one when Nebraska came to Gainesville a couple of years ago. So you have every apparatus on each corner of the screen. So I'm doing NFL red zone of Jane Smith is on the beam in the top left of your screen. And we have no graphics, no updated scores. And I'm trying to go through my notes and see all right, Jane Smith. All right, we got Margaret in the bottom right and she's on vault. She had a career high in vault last time out. And so there's so much stuff that I'm looking at. That's probably the craziest thing maybe I've done. Nothing like Cow Pie Bingo. No dumps that were taken during any of my broadcasts, not that I know of. So
you weren't on the call for that Paul Purist playoff game?
No. I wish I could have been. Yeah, done some play-by-play on that. That's, I guess, not too crazy. I don't.
No, that'd be hard though. That'd be really challenging, especially if you're not in the gymnastics world, having a good grasp on everything and then having to do a quad box, that'd be really challenging.
And Florida has a really passionate fan base. I remember, so to your point, DB, of doing the audio stuff, we have what's called a pass-through broadcast for Florida, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is it when it comes to gymnastics. And they had me do the audio too, but they gave me a setup and the audio was incredibly distorted. So I go on my Twitter and this broadcast is terrible. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. And the audio is terrible. And so I was doing the engineering while calling a brand new sport that everybody's watching. And this place is sold out. And it's just wow, got to figure some things out here.
Got my man with some thick skin. You don't have to give it away. I'm curious to see if it naturally evolves. Have you thought about a signature or a stamp, or you just going to kind of play it by ear and see what becomes natural and repetitive to you?
You mean just in sort of a touchdown call, or just sign off? Or?
Yes.
Or coming into the games, you know, how much have you thought about that part?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about it. I think the biggest part is just learning the team before I get to any of that. I'll take suggestions though. I'm scared to say that I'll take suggestions. I don't know.
Hey, careful. Be careful what you wish for. You're going to have even a crazier Twitter timeline now.
I don't know if I'm going to take all suggestions, but the good one, I'm going to have a filtering process of it. But I'm sure, DB, I'll get your thoughts on that too. What maybe.
Oh, I don't want to be. Don't put me on the spot. I make stuff up. So don't go with what I do. Confer with Jess. Everybody likes her, and she's safe. So just as long as she's your teammate, you'll be fine. Don't hang your hat on me, man. You saw I ruined your interview with Coach Rhule coming in, so I had to apologize for that. That was on me.
Was fun. That was fun, man. It was good to meet him and see his personality. You can just see his mind works in a different way.
Wasn't that pretty cool?
he's like on to the next thing. Like, I understand football coaches are a different breed, but Coach Rhule is a different breed. And that's why, like, I feel like I'm coming in at a really, really good time, right? Everything's trending upward. And, Troy had said it too in our chat. Like, he thinks Coach Rhule is the best coach in college football. And man, you could see it.
Did you get a good snapshot? Because you had to talk to our athletic director one-on-one, and he's tough because he's really bright. He's a higher level thinker. Impromptu. That was supposed to be a 30-second meeting between Coach and I outside. He said he didn't want to ruin the interview. He wanted to do the right thing and come in and meet you. And you saw how he thought, right? As you guys were just brainstorming on the fly. You get a sense of kind of how those guys navigate and look at college football today. And can you come away not impressed with how global of thinkers they are?
Oh, it's amazing. And the amount of balls in the air now when it comes to NIL and just talking about like contracts behind the scenes and how NIL deals work. And you can just imagine what Troy goes through on a daily basis when it comes now to the house settlement. I mean, the fact that he had the time he did to even sit down and talk to me, considering all the things that he has going on. But man, it's as hard as it's ever been now to be, and you see people getting out of it, right? Like getting out of it and becoming coordinators in the NFL. And
meanwhile, Coach Rhule's looking for the next big idea. That was pretty cool.
It's just next level, man. These are next level thinkers, and it's elite leadership in Nebraska.
Kyle, last thing from me here. Is there anything you've thought about that you're looking forward to the most as you get into that? I know the first game's in Kansas City, but that first home game at Memorial Stadium, like, have you started to think about something that you're really looking forward to the most?
Yeah, walking up to Memorial Stadium and seeing the tailgate scene. I've seen a little bit of it here in the SEC, and I've heard people talk about what that's like on a game day. But again, one of those things you don't know until you know. And I can't wait until that first home game, that first Big Ten game as well, when Michigan comes to town in Lincoln. Like, that's going to be a zoo. But the thing, like, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. I have a feeling that Memorial is always a zoo. So I can't wait to just see everything outside the stadium, like the players, like what that daily routine is like for the fans. To me, is probably the most exciting part of what I'm going to get to experience.
Best case scenario for me, Casey. I'm pumped, man. Can't wait to get started.
I'm excited, and I'm appreciative of you and everybody throughout this process. Like, I think I said it on Sports Nightly. That phone call you gave me when I was getting set to interview, and you could be wound pretty tight. In a situation like this, you're interviewing for an opportunity that could be a lifetime, and you hope is a lifetime opportunity, and it's a once in a lifetime spot. And you called me and were encouraging, and Jess has been the same way. And I mentioned the text from Ben and just everybody around the broadcast team. You guys are awesome, and I can't wait for August 28th and get this thing kicked off in Arrowhead Stadium and start 1-0.
I was super honest with you too. I didn't know if it was the right thing to do. I just felt like I you know what I mean? It's just like you just kind of get this feel, and hopefully you're okay with that, because I'm a big off script guy sometimes, and but you may have to say, hey, listen. But I promise you I'll receive it well.
Yeah, you're the best. I appreciate you guys, and anytime you need me and I can come on here and you want to chat, love to.
We're gonna follow protocol, even though I feel like I have a chance to have known you better than anybody, so I'll have a leg up. But I will go through the great Keith, man. I do not want him upset with me.
No.
And listen, he's the best gatekeeper. So utilize the guy that I call the captain. Utilize Keith, man.
Yeah, so you got first dibs after the affiliates. So I did an affiliate thing this morning, but you guys are the top of the list. So I appreciate you guys, and thanks for everything.
Good man, Casey. Appreciate it.
Kyle,
welcome aboard.
Appreciate it, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you.
That is Kyle Crooks, the new play-by-play voice for Nebraska football. We're going to finally take an actual break here.
He's bright, isn't he?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've had people text me. They're like, I'm crying, bawling my eyes out. Like his perspective on, you know what got me? It was his perspective on Ben through the interview process.
Spot on. He
not just that, but he's like, hey, this is probably harder on this guy than it is anybody.
Yeah.
Like
and when we walked out, it was like 95 degrees. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care about anything else. That dude's gonna be a good teammate.
Yeah, like his ability to put himself in Ben's shoes and be empathetic for the position he was in.
Yep.
That was really
How
cool.
about Ben sending it? Good on. Go KB back.
We'll
Let's
be back.
go.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We're in the neighborhood, just down the street. With a wide variety of home equity products to help you create a relaxing oasis. So you can kick back and relax in comfort. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Here with Jet Tamala, the newest Alabama commit. That sounds a little different, right?
Yeah, yes sir, it does.
What? Why Alabama?
I mean, I just felt the trust and support from their coaching staff, even while I was committed to Iowa State. I mean, I have all good things to say about them too, with everything I went through with them, and it really came down to the wire. And then, I mean, just the opportunity I had. My goal and dream is to go to the NFL, and I felt like Alabama's the place that could do the best for me.
You brought up the Iowa State thing. Obviously, it was a tough decision because of the connection that you had made with Iowa State. And you're a pretty loyal guy when it comes to just everything in life. So, how hard was that conversation?
I mean, we had such a good relationship that, I mean, it wasn't too hard. They kind of understood. It wasn't no hard feelings. So, kind of just told me good luck, and it really wasn't easy, like, to say it all. It was pretty tough for me, but I got through it, and really excited about it.
Okay, here with Colin Rice from Waukee Northwest. Colin, your recruitment's kind of taken off a little bit, right? You've officially visited Iowa, officially visited Nebraska. Northwestern's coming up for you.
Yeah.
I want to touch on just Iowa first. That was the first one for you.
Yeah.
Your relationship with that staff. Coach McCollum's new there, obviously.
Yeah, I think Iowa has always been a spot, being from Iowa, that like I wanted to go visit just because it's like we're from Iowa and everything. And then I obviously know McCollum's. I played with McCollum's two sons last year. So I've known them for probably a year and a half now, and they've always been good to me. So.
Yeah. And then Nebraska, the visit there obviously went well. What'd you like the most? All those things.
Yeah, the Nebraska visit was great. The people there are really awesome. I love Fred. I love Nate. I've known them for a while now. I think this tournament was probably the 1-year anniversary of them talking to me, starting to talk to me, which is pretty cool to think about when you think back to all of it, a full circle moment. Now I'm on an official visit saying, oh, hey, I might go here. It's really cool.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill has their summer specials going. They've got the Philly cheesesteak pizza. They got the Chicago dog. And what were you looking at earlier?
The Caucasian shrimp wrap.
I think it's just Cajun.
Cajun shrimp wrap.
Yeah.
That.
A little different, but still sounds delicious. Make sure you get out here, Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill in La Vista or Gretna.
Just putting on my glove and
try the Cajun shrimp wrap.
That's what it is.
That actually sounds right up my alley.
I'd like to eat it without the wrap.
Yeah, you're not a big wrap guy.
Just Cajun.
More of a rock and roll.
No.
Oh,
No.
more of a gospel type of guy.
No.
You like some gospel music?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably more like if I was gonna go that genre.
Yeah.
I'd probably go contemporary Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Casting Crowns guy.
Not so much. Although
Jeremy Camp.
I do like some gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Kirk Franklin guy.
Yes, I am actually.
See?
Yeah.
I know some things.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine me, one you can depend on.
We only got
one
like 20 minutes
can
left. You
be
just want to sing us out?
certain. Yo, imagine me. Being told. Yeah. So Casey.
Kyle's really good.
How about my man B Mac though?
Yeah.
Just the I get it. It's like, oh man, you're gonna say that about because it's the team you work with, but you know me, like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You won't say nice things unless you mean them. You
No,
just won't say anything.
I won't say anything.
Yeah. You just
Right?
won't say anything.
But I do think that's what makes us unique is the chemistry and the camaraderie. Right? It's not the individual talent. I'm not taking anything away from that or saying anything about that. It's everybody has each other's back. And it's Josh looks out for us and I try to look out for Ben and Ben for me and me for Jess and just what's best. And I'm telling you, I got away from the call and the voice, and I'm like, yep, that guy is going to be a great team player. That's all I cared about because it's so chaotic.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. Like when he sees his reads and the lives and
there's a lot going on.
It's a lot.
There's a lot going on. I haven't done a Nebraska football game, obviously, but I've done a couple Creighton broadcasts.
It's overwhelming.
There's a lot going on, and I know there's that much more for Nebraska.
And Ben has these gifts where he can signal and talk in shorthand. Even for me, like he'll have these things like cranked out and stats ready because he knows how I think. He'll talk to me and say, it may look like chicken scratch or hieroglyphics,
but you understand it.
But I understand it.
Yeah.
Because he knows how I think and vice versa. So it's like I always talk about, if I'm saying something, like Jess knows, okay, if I'm going to validate or substantiate what he's saying, let me go get some real life examples. I'm going to go get in this huddle. I'm going to go listen to this coach.
Yeah.
Or if she has the idea first, hey, last year could be, hey, Coach Knighton's got the D-line over. He's talking about get off and using hands, right? Like good eye placement. Then I can weave that in to an analysis on what's happened with a play. Like it's just like that's how it works. Nobody's kind of operating on an island. We're all kind of in unison.
It's kind of funny because there's a couple areas in life as you're kind of describing that dynamic there that like pop into my mind. The first one was, hey, if Nebraska football can replicate what the Nebraska broadcast booth has, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Right?
Everybody's worried. Everybody's concerned about getting each other's back and making sure that everybody operates in the optimal way as a team. But I was also thinking about just I think the dynamics of being more concerned about the outcome as a whole, as opposed to just being concerned about your place in the outcome and your piece of the outcome, because it's really easy to go and be, if you're like a sideline reporter like Jess, for instance, it's really easy to go, hey, I'm just going to get the most interesting thing I can get.
And what did I tell you I was blown away by? Her
ability to like listen to you guys and go and get
actually
something
listen, because that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But I thought like the only reason I did it, it wasn't natural to me. It was when I started at BTN and I would do these broadcasts, like the guys that were the people that they would bring in, if it wasn't Kugler, there was a 99% chance I knew more about the team than they did.
Sure.
So they left my mic open.
Yeah.
And they would just throw it down to me live. Like I was their version of Saragusa. So I got used to listening to the broadcast because I knew I didn't want to, I either wanted to accentuate or give a add-on. I didn't want, because Kugler, he'd always, oh man, give him a reason to break away. Just give him a reason to break away. Like otherwise don't interrupt the broadcast.
Yeah.
Cool. Enough said. So when Jess was doing it naturally, what I come back and say, I'm like, I've got to figure out a way to utilize her because she's probably like, well, duh, why wouldn't I listen to the broadcast? I'm just telling you.
Not everybody does.
Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Not
Some people are just looking for their moment to try and make their part of the broadcast, especially because a lot of people, I don't know what, like in your situation when you were with BTN, like a lot of people, that's not their career aspiration is to be on the sideline. It's to be,
it wasn't.
Right? It's to be the color guy.
I prefer, I
or
prefer
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so you're trying, a lot of people are like, well, let me just make it undeniable that I should be in the booth instead of down here.
And you know what happened?
Yeah.
From the sideline analysts, it's like, all right, let's not try to find the biggest name to be in the booth. Let's
get the right guy.
This guy's pretty all right.
Let's get the guy that's good, right?
Yeah, so that was kind of the first thing that drew me to the collaborative effort.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm thinking about, weirdly, I think about private equity way too much. It's just a thing that lives in my head a lot.
You were the big private equity guy to bail out schools for NIL. No, anyway, keep going.
I was the big, like, don't do that. You're going to lose your athletic department. But it's also what you're talking about is the exact.
That too.
Yeah. Thank you for correctly
Clarifying.
characterizing my argument there. It's like the Rust thing all over again. But it's like.
Do I need to go back to the Jurassic Park example? You made it personal.
Oh, listen. I get out of line. That's part of who I am. A lot of it, though, is you're talking about whether it's being worried about the whole versus the individual parts, right? A lot of people take a private equity mindset where it's like, hey, if I can get value out of individual parts, then I don't care about the whole anymore. And at the cost of the whole a lot of times. Like, oh, I can get value at this part of the company and I can get value at this part of the company. I'm going to strip it off for parts. I'm going to make a profit, but I have killed the thing that I bought.
Even when we were brainstorming, we were playing to each other's strengths. I was like, oh, he'll probably do that because he's comfortable around Jess, or she's disarming, or he can do this, and then we can do this with these were not my ideas, by the way. These were ideas that were being floated around real time, which is why I was texting Coach Rhule. Right? I'm just like, oh, it doesn't do us really any good to be hypothesizing about this if it's not something he's actually gonna be willing. And the first thing he said, well, yeah, I mean, if that's what Jess wants to do, that's fine. I was like, really? Like,
is that what we're doing?
That's what we're on.
That's what
today.
we're doing.
But it was just
it
was a microcosm. And then to hear Coach Rhule just expand with the radio network about the partnership and how to next level it from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
Did it turn into like a mini brain session, a mini brainstorming session? It was incredible. And that's why Kaya was like, you can just tell how Coach Rhule thinks. He's constantly thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
Right. How does this fit into the process? How can we fit with what we see as cutting edge that other schools are trying to do? So we're not on the outside looking in.
So what's funny about, so Kyle was talking about that. He's like, you've got guys that are getting out of it and becoming coordinators and stuff. And you've seen that he said to the NFL, you've seen it, guys just take college. I mean, Dan Holgerson, there's one on our staff right now, right? Where he's like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I really like calling plays, right? And let me just get back to what I'm good at. And I guess I'll just make low seven figures instead of high seven figures. And I'll probably be able to get by on that, But it's kind of funny though. I genuinely think, and I don't know if Coach Rhule would put it in these terms, and maybe we can get him on this summer and ask him about it, but there's a part of me that thinks he enjoys this even more now. Because I think he looks at the landscape and he goes, oh, there's a lot of stuff.
He wants it to be about survival of the fittest, so advantage him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, there's a lot of stuff that everybody else doesn't understand yet. That means I've got opportunities.
Yep. That's, I mean, and we could ask him, but I'm going to guess you're right.
Like, the more chaos there is, the more uncertainty there is. He's like, okay, I know I can thrive here. I'll take my chances on me.
He said it at Big Ten Media Days.
Yeah.
Those that work the hardest and the smartest
they'll survive the chaos.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I think he actually looks at the landscape of college football and he's like, yeah, muddy that thing up. Let's go. He's like, you know what? Because I trust me. And I know not everybody else operates like I do.
It's weird that I would gravitate towards somebody like that, right? Because why did I tell you Caleb ultimately liked Nebraska outside of the relationships, even post-Coop leaving? if it's about survival of the fittest,
I'll bet on me.
That plays to my strengths.
Yeah.
While everybody else is falling by the wayside.
If it's about enduring, I'll take my chances.
Yeah. No handouts. You gotta go
Yeah.
get it. Right? Like that's how you want it.
Yeah, no, that's something that I can definitely appreciate. And I do think it's a little funny because, you do have you have people within the fan base kind of worrying about like, well, how much longer is Coach Rhule going to want to do this? And like, there's a lot of chaos. I was like, I think he loves this. I think he sits back and goes, all right, now I can eat.
Yeah, and he's so stinking competitive too. Like I think he's just dead set to return Nebraska to national relevance.
Yeah.
Right. Without, this is independent of bringing steer into the weight room or boom boxes or anything else. It's just he understands what he's dealing with, and I think he wants just tell him what the rules are, and he'll play any game you want to.
And if you don't tell me what the rules are, I'll do it my way until you do.
Until you tell us not to.
That's the I think that's fascinating. That kind of little bit there about Coach Rhule versus what some of the other coaches have done here, and then that thing about Ben McLaughlin that Kyle talked about. Like those are the two things I think are going to stick with me.
The real-time self-awareness.
Yeah, like his real-time empathy for Ben in that moment, understanding, hey, this is coming off a certain way, but if I kind of parse through it a little bit.
And he was so cool with it.
Yeah. Like if I parse through it a little bit, not only do I understand, because it started like, oh, if I really listen to what he's saying, like he's got my back, right? But then he even went, what really got me is he went the step further of, well, okay, he's got my back. It's coming off a little aggressive maybe or a little harsh. Why is it coming off that way? And then he got to the point and he goes, oh, I know that Greg and Ben were best friends.
Yeah.
I know that this has been harder on him than anybody else. I know he's been in the baseball booth without his best friend for the past few months.
Yeah.
Like he went from, oh, he's got my back. Maybe his presentation just isn't as pretty as I'd like it to be or whatever. He went past that to be like, well, I've heard good things about this guy. I've heard about who he is as a person and that he's a good guy and all this kind of stuff. So why is the...
Yeah, just to kind of see Ben's heart. Like it took me a little bit to think to myself, B-Mac may say something to me like, why did you buy AirPods that you don't know how to set up? Or I don't know why this alarm is acting like this on your phone. Like, you're the only ding dong I know with Android. Like he'll say these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And he'll whatever the problem is, like he can fix it and he'll give it back to me. And 5 minutes later he'll say, hey, are you good? Is everything working okay?
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, I appreciate that. I could lose something on my computer. Hey, I can't. It's logged. I can't find. And now he's gonna let me have it real time.
Yeah.
But it's cool because I know he actually wants what's best for me. Right.
He's just gonna give you a couple jabs on the way.
Yeah. So, and for him to pick up on that, like his perspective while he's going through that, I thought was, and even I didn't know that real time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I looked at Jess and I kind of sunk. I was like, oh no.
You thought you were gonna scare him off.
I was a little concerned.
And listen, you've told me,
I'm you know what I mean? But like I was a little concerned.
You've told me some of the stories about how some of the interviews went, and you're like, yeah, Ben's kind of coming in hot and whatever. And I know basically all the things that Kyle has talked about there, and I didn't put those things together.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And you love Ben.
I see a lot of myself in Ben.
Yeah.
I see a lot of myself. It's like I am like deep down, if you really, and there's not very many people that do, if you really, really know me, you're like, oh, that's a good guy. I am wrapped in a giant candy shell of being a dick. Yeah. Like that's like,
I didn't mark that.
Like that's.
This dude just called himself a Richard Shell. Like, what is that? What is that?
A candy-coated Richard Shell.
Like, what is that?
I don't know. But like that's, I feel like
something you buy at a store.
Dude, I don't go to those stores.
I'm
just gonna lean into it now. But like that, I see a lot of myself in Ben.
I'm not even gonna ask. But yeah, what is wrong with you?
It's hard to tell. I don't have a good answer there.
Wow.
I could say maybe the sugar got to my brain,
Just bookending it how you started it, I guess. It's equally as offensive. equally as offensive.
Is that not an accurate description of my personality?
Yeah, sure. Yep. A candy-coated Richard. Well played.
No, it's a Richard Hole. You misunderstood.
Okay.
It's like never mind.
Yeah. Like feel free to move on.
No, I feel like I'm being misrepresented here a little bit.
No.
The Richard isn't candy coated. The part of my personality that's a good person is just it's almost like a candy coating of being a Richard.
Yeah. Sure.
So we're not candy coating anybody's Richard. That seems that just got a wow from Shane over there.
Oh, all right.
It's kind of like you trying to spin the Jurassic Park reference.
No, I mean, I think I landed that reference perfectly. I don't need to spin that.
But I mean well.
That's it.
Do I need to hit the music?
I mean well.
That's it.
How do you mean well?
I didn't say I meant well in the Jurassic Park reference. I thought it was a killer reference.
Oh, God.
I just called Aaron Rodgers a turd. That's all I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just digging in there like, is there any cheese?
I'm going to need them to win 10 games, though.
At least he's not.
We didn't even get into KC drawing up plays as a kid.
At least he's not candy coated.
Exactly.
No, he's not. He's all Richard. Is Aaron Rodgers. That's our guy.
I hope not, man. I hope not.
You maybe need to candy coat him for a season.
Got a tough schedule out of the gates, too.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or it won't.
Jets, Viking. I mean, we got to play some ball.
You worried about the Jets this year?
They'll be good defensively.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens on offense.
I don't like their Justin Fields, maybe?
A flex bone?
Question mark? We'll see what happens. That's TV. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.